Catch Leela.
Hi,
Uh,
Caesar.
hello.
Hello, nice to see you
And
again.
hi,
I
Kitten.
got
Hi,
you
Caesar. So
too.
good to see you
Yeah.
again. And Susan, good
Hey,
to see you.
Susan.
And Gabby.
Oh, hi, Gabby.
Is all the good people out here. I've missed you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. Hey, Asa.
And Osa, hi.
Have you recovered from the retreat?
Mm,
I don't
just
think I
barely.
have.
It took me about it normally takes me about 8 days or
Yeah.
something like that, where I'm like really introverted and I just wanna no, don't wanna go outside. There's people and no. So yeah, now I have, and now I'm all ready to dive back in if you guys are up for it. How about tomorrow?
I think I need at least 6 months. That was so powerful.
Thank you.
And the healing, it was amazing. And then the healing just kept coming and coming. So thank you so dearly to both of you. It was
Thank you so
really
much.
Wonderful.
Thank you
best.
so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, and for anybody who didn't participate at the workshop, it is available on our homepage. You can purchase it and do it, and it's 7 days, and it's how many videos
Oh,
did we
it's
end up with? Like
over 40
over
hours.
40 hours of videos.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and there's an ebook as well going with it.
Yeah.
And we take donations for it, and donations start only at $250, so super, super cheap and super, yeah. And I can only
I
recommend
thought.
it for people that are on the awakening path and at that, feel they are, stuck in either identification with emotions or identification with thoughts or keep coming back to wishing for something else. Or I can only recommend it. It's really, really useful.
Mm,
Yeah. And there are lots of people here that participated that
yes.
can tell you more about it if they want to.
I would recommend it for anyone who wants to grow.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Susan.
Who wants to evolve, who wants to heal, who wants to be closer to their own truth. It was extraordinary. And then plus, if you do it on your own, you could do it at your own pace.
Yeah. It'd be a little bit less overwhelming if you're just doing it on your own.
Yeah.
But I actually really, it works for me to do it all at once. For me, it's just better for me to cut out the rest of my life and do it all at once. But it's like a boot camp.
It is. Yeah,
Amazing. So, thank you so much,
it's
Susan.
full on for
Yeah.
7 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to quickly put in a plug also that I just thought it was amazing. The changes that have happened, that was a missing link for me. I mean, I've been at this for like 30 years and it was like, I sure wish I would have saved me, it seems. I know that's a story, but I just found it amazing. I recommend it to anybody. Yeah, thank you both. I've
Thank you,
never
Gabby.
anything like it. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you so
And
much.
I'm going to also put in my my opinion. And just like Gabby said, it was a missing link for me, all the information that was provided, and it's been transformational. It's
Oh,
amazing. Yeah. Thank
thank you
you.
so
Thank you
much,
so much.
Glenda.
Thank you so much.
Incredible.
Thank you. It was really, really enjoyable from our parts as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then I see Ethan is here. Thank you so much. It's like what,
Literally the
2 in the morning,
middle of the
4 in the morning?
Oh, hey everyone. Yeah, it's literally 2 in the morning here in Australia.
night.
Thank you
Right.
so much
Thank
for
you for
being
being
here. We're
here.
really happy you're here.
That is
That is
commitment.
commitment.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It was funny timing. I literally came across the video that mentioned, like, oh, if we're still doing the things, email Todd. And I
Yeah.
emailed it and he's like, oh, well, tomorrow, thinking like that. So it worked out perfectly.
That's amazing. We're
Perfect.
really
Really good
happy you're
having
able
you
to
here.
be
Yeah.
here. Yeah, I hope it's worth it for you to lose a night of sleep.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
He,
I
he
realized it looked
looks
very
very
ominous as well.
mysterious. He looks like a Hitchcock movie.
I did a little
With the
bit.
candlelight
Like
under the face and the glasses kind of.
it is. It's actually not that dark in my room. It's just the candlelight. It makes me look like a candle neck kind of
Candle
guy.
flickering.
That's so
Goes with it.
funny.
Can I mention that everybody
Yeah.
who said how great the retreat was at the beginning, can we use that testimonial for the marketing that they don't know how to do very well for themselves?
Of
Thank you.
course. And
Thank you.
also, we were Todd, you had mentioned, we had talked about at the retreat how
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to continue doing these retreats for $250.
Yeah.
No.
Unless people donate more. And we had put out it, some of us that participated put out the idea of getting together to think about how to promote their work more, how to, um, support the financial aspect of it, how to get the
Thank you.
videos out more. So did you want to mention that, Todd, that you were thinking maybe about
Yeah,
the night?
thank you, Susan. We actually have hopefully scheduled for this coming Saturday, the 19th at noon Eastern time. We're gonna have like a little brainstorming session for anybody who has any ideas of the things that we can do that either ways to make this a little bit more financially stable, sustainable, and going into the future, but also for anything that we could be doing that makes it more applicable and useful that we haven't hit on. That it's just a way that we could either
Yep.
create stuff differently, package it differently,
Yeah.
offer it in different kinds of ways. Um,
Todd is writing book at the moment.
yeah.
I just want to share. After the retreat, he's been writing and writing and writing. Every waking moment he has, he's sitting and writing book. And he's, like he always says, no, it's nothing, it's nothing. But it's really, really good. And yeah, um, so
So,
so 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 his energy is definitely going in that direction. But we was talking about where on the awakening curriculum, it's been like every Monday since I started to do it, there has been a new lesson coming out every Monday. And now when all of the entire curriculum is done, we still need to make 10 pointers for the first, second, and third fetter. But otherwise the curriculum is done. So I've kind of been looking at what can I do every Monday instead of just like 10-minute talk where I talk about something random. And one of the things we talked about was it would be good to have like a topic that we talk about like together.
yeah.
For example, yesterday we talked about that it would be cool making a video about that trap that is in non-duality, where we in one way know that we can't identify with an I. There's no one here to identify with. But then we go into the other camp on the other side of the road, which means I have nobody. Every time I feel anger in my body, I need to kind of like bypass that because there is no I that can be angry. And it's that huge trap that so many people are sitting in. So we talked about that would be cool to make a sofa sit and talking about a topic. But it would also be something that you guys can, if there's something that you see, this is like an overarching issue out there or in me that I would like, to be
Deeper
made a
dives
video,
on.
yeah,
Yeah.
deeper dive on a topic like that. A
Again.
bit like we did with the eight fetter. We had a deeper dive about the eight fetter and the Advaita trap. Um, so if there's something like that that you guys would like for us to make, we're open to do that. But it's also if you guys have any ideas that, oh, it would be great if you could offer this or that. We're up for basically anything.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
we are here to be of service. We just need to do it in a way where it's like actually sustainable and not just kind of like at this point, it's a lot of like, well, this is what interests us, so we make stuff about it. For some people, thankfully, it really hits a mark and it's like, oh yeah, that's relevant. But for other people, it doesn't. And so we don't know. We only know in our experience
Yeah, but
what
also, for
resonates.
example,
So
I enjoy making those long videos, 2 hours video where I sit and come with like an
yeah,
autistic info dump about, identification with thought. I love that. But I can see in my analytics on YouTube that people prefer the shorts that are 1 minute or 2 minutes, which is not what I, you know, go toward. I'm happy to do it, and I'm really good at boiling down identification with emotions. Listen here, and then I'm very good in 2 minutes give you a plot on that kind of gives you a direction of the day of where to go. But it's not something that I would have come up with on my
Yeah.
own if it wasn't because somebody has said it would be great if there was like a short about things. So it's super helpful for you guys, for
Yeah.
us, if you guys tell us what you actually would like.
Yeah.
And then we're happy to do that because we're here to serve for
Yeah.
you guys. Just let us know, and then we're happy, happy, happy to do that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
With that said,
yeah,
so if you are available, we have posted on Discord a Zoom link for April 19th at noon Eastern time. If
it's
you have
yeah,
suggestions, and
Saturday our time.
yep, yep. So if you have suggestions, that would be much appreciated. That being said, you want to get to the
Yes.
actual
Is
link?
it,
Yeah.
Todd, is it this same Zoom link?
Nope, different link. We made a separate link for it. So it's also in the Discord chat under ways to help the community, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And also in, I think it's in uh well, yeah, actually that's only available for those who are at the
On
workshop,
Discord, yeah,
the
in there.
workshop chat.
So we should put it in announcement, and I'm gonna post
Yes.
it to my members on the
Okay.
channel as well.
So
And you can
there
post
will
it
be
to your member.
multiple places on Discord.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so for those who are new today, it's very open. Basically, you just raise your little virtual hand, and we just go and call on people, and you are free to ask anything, and we will converse about it, do inquiry into it, answer questions,
Anything that
really,
helps.
whatever,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever you need. Also free to just sit back and listen. There's never any pressure
No, we're never calling on
to talk.
anyone.
No. So uh, very, very casual.
And
Susan.
Susan is the
Okay,
best.
let me
Oops,
us spotlight and
I should change.
spotlight.
Yeah, so oops.
All of your
It
various
always takes me, yeah, because I have you on two systems. How do you, one thing I wanted to say real quick is I loved in the retreat how we did the non-story Q&A. So I'm just
Yeah.
putting that out there. I thought that was so great because I thought we got a lot more information and a lot less story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do we get out of being the scapegoat in a family?
Mm.
That is so easy to answer. You can't. You can't.
Done.
Because done next. Because you can't get out of it because it's not you who have chosen to be a scapegoat. I just want to explain what being a scapegoat in a family is. And it's when there is a dysfunctional family dynamic. There is one who is toxic, and then there are usually the other parent, which is what's the word? Enabling.
Yeah.
And for that dynamic to be maintained, the entire family needs to choose a scapegoat, which is normally a child. And that child is now the reason for everything going wrong in the family. And it's only to maintain that toxic family dynamic with a bully and an enabler, and then you are a scapegoat. And if you have been a scapegoat in a family, you have a very, very deep feeling of always doing the wrong thing. No matter if you do it this way, you should have done it the other way. And if you did it the other way, you should have done it this way. So no matter what you do, you always have a feeling of doing something wrong. It can also be that you have always been told that you have that feeling of being too much and still not adequate. So you're too much, too loud, always in the way, but still you're not adequate. You're super demanding when you're asking for basic needs to be met. And that gives you that feeling of being in the way constantly. And because it's not something you have chosen, it's the family dynamic that's like that. I mean, I have a friend and he's always asked to go in through the back door so the neighbors doesn't see him arriving home. And there's nothing much to do about that. That's how the family dynamic is. It's just acknowledging that is how it is. What you can do something about is to stay with that underlying belief that is true, that you are inadequate, and that you are in the way and that you are
Always to
too
blame.
much and you are the one to blame and you are really question that. And why that? Because it sounds from the outside, if you're not a scapegoat, it sounds so easy, but it's just like seeing that it's the other people that do that, obviously. So you're not the scapegoat, obviously, then it's just done. But to see through that, to acknowledge, accept and understand that you are a scapegoat means that you suddenly see the family completely clear. You see that parent is toxic. That parent is enabling. Those two are equally toxic. It's not just, you know, um, the bully of the family that's the toxic one.
Yeah.
It's the entire family. So it's not only, let's say, dad that is bullying and mom that is enabling. It's both of them. And acknowledging that is really, really difficult because that means that you had no one. At least when you were a kid, you felt that it was you and mom against that, or you, mom, and the kids against that. But when you then grow up and find out that you were the scapegoat and this is the family dynamics, it's really seeing that no, 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 you were utterly alone. There were no one. When you needed it the most, there were no one. You were raised by wolves and neglect, and that was it. And really, really acknowledging that, that is hard. That is really, really hard. And there is so many feelings that comes up with that because the neglect is really difficult to deal with. And it took me like, yeah, better part of 40 years to really, really deal with seeing through all of those um, mirages that had been created and that I had created for for my childhood to be bearable. Then a lot of stories was created for everything to be bearable. And seeing through that all of that is just stories. And yes, you were utterly alone. There were no one. And, thank God that you made it this far. That is really the difficult part of it. But you can never change that you are not wanted and not wished for and the dream you might have of the family finally, coming to their senses and it's like one happy Christmas for everyone. It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. The family will always stay the same. My friend will always have to go through the back door. No matter how much he understands the family dynamics, he will always be that role. There was always be that you're contacted by your family and immediately you feel guilt and shame. The difference is that now you're not identified with it anymore. You know that that is just part of a role that you were given and it's not true in any way. It's just a way for them to maintain, a toxic dynamic and not see past that or not um react or adjust with the consequences of that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have something you want to add?
I was just gonna say that I mean, that was very, very thorough. But um it's sort of like when we're finding all of these little individual instances, it's like you become aware of each time that one of these dynamics is playing, and it's kind of like you're in like a hall of mirrors, and you like break one mirror, and it's like that's one less time that one is going to reflect back now. And so then each time you notice one of these, oh, okay, so my sister said blah blah blah, my cousin said blah blah blah, my mother said blah blah blah, whatever the thing is, you see one more time, oh, that was that dynamic again. It's not real. It's not about me. That mirror gets broken. So every time that happens again, you start to see through that one. It's like, oh, okay, that illusion doesn't hold up in that particular instance. You'll probably still find that you get triggered in other situations, but then the more you can start to find that dynamic, that belief set that's there is at play, that's one more of those mirrors that gets broken each time you see it, and then that's one less that you're gonna fall
And
into.
yeah, I just want to emphasize as well that when a mirror is broken, it's not an issue anymore. It's
Yeah.
completely. I experienced one Christmas where some different things happened, and my sister was like, but didn't that really make you sad? And I was like, no, why would it? And she was like, but so and so and so. And I was like, oh wow, yeah. Then I remembered how it used to feel. I used to
Yeah.
feel really sad and really, and it wasn't on my radar at all. And I was like, I completely forgot it used to be like that because it's just not anymore. There's a freedom for people to be like they are, and I have so much
Mm,
love and compassion towards it. And
mm,
and I there's no hooks in me anymore that they need to change for me to feel better. I feel great. So
mm.
they can be like they are, and that there's no bruises anymore to be pushed on. So it's not hurtful when I'm pushed because there's no bruises anymore. So it's just like a finger pointing and it just does nothing. But when there's like a huge open wound, when somebody's poking you at it, it's so painful. But when that has completely healed, it's just a point, and it means nothing.
So it's just an inside job. It's not about trying
Absolutely.
to.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it does call for you to
Uh,
be really aware of your automatic responses to things
Mm,
in daily life that because that the initial assumption that your belief about yourself and them and the dynamic is real will come on very quickly.
mm.
You're as soon as you contact family, it's like you're instantly, 6 years old again, back in that role, and it's like just being snapped right back in time. And so those assumptions are automatic. What you have to do is then recognize as soon as you feel it, like, oh, this is that old role again,
Mm,
and then
mm,
question it, right? You feel what's there. Is this actually true? Is this, is my role in this exchange right now the way that I think it is, or the way that it has to be? Do I have to actually be here taking this on for the other person and being their sounding board or being, whatever the dynamic is with that one? I know it's been that way for the past X number of years, but why?
mm,
How does that, if I, play with it, like do like little mental experiments of like, okay, if I said no in this case, if I said, I'm sorry, I really have to go, no, I can't do that, whatever, and said that, what does that bring up in you? Is that like, oh, no, 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 fear, 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 can't do that. No, 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 I would be terrible. No, 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 shame, shame. How does that actually feel in the body? Or is it like, oh, thank God, liberation?
mm.
Which is it bringing up? And then that is just like they're like little breadcrumbs that are just leading you down this path to see how to get out of that illusory hall of mirrors.
Yeah,
You know?
and also because it was what I was trying to say before that we are only causes and conditions, right?
Yeah.
And if your role has been like, let's say, the scapegoat, then you have to react with guilt and shame when somebody's poking you because that is your role. The moment you
mm,
don't react with guilt and shame anymore, the entire family
Yeah.
constellation is falling apart, which means that you
mhm,
will be even more scapegoat because now you don't even have your seat. I'm guilting you into doing some things, so I don't have to ask you to do it. And now you don't do it when I'm guilting you because the guilt is not landing anymore. What the fuck do you mean you don't want to, and then you're completely shaking the entire family dynamic. And that is the point of this, that we are all causes and conditions, and it's not only you, it's everyone. It's your entire family. They're only causes and conditions. There are no one who are evil. There are no one who are a bully or who are, manipulative or anything. They're not. They are causes and conditions. They are that um, uh, bioendopsychosome
Social
social
activation.
activation bubble that is just being, you know, walking around in life and acting as Kyle, that it doesn't mean that he's a bully. It just means that is his causes and conditions. And the moment you see through that, that is all just causes and conditions, you no longer hold anything against the bully. You don't hold anything against the enabler. But that doesn't change their insight. You're the only one who sees it.
Hmm.
But you do see everything clear. that it's just small kids trying to survive
Mm,
in adult bodies, you know?
mm, yeah. Yeah, what I've been doing more is just stepping back a lot more
Mm,
and also speaking up some,
Yeah,
good.
just saying, that was really hurtful.
Yeah.
yeah.
And usually people will say, you're right, that was really hurtful. I'm like,
Mm,
"Huh."
nice.
So yeah, but I just, I just found that, yeah, stepping back and just not being so invested has been really helpful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And
And
then
then
again,
also,
yeah, every so often
no,
saying,
no, God.
saying something. Yeah, just every so often saying something, just
Yeah.
saying, wait, just pause a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
still do Todd's inquiries when there's something that feels hurtful to really investigate what is it that feels hurtful, because what I'm always saying is that it's not now. You have tears
Hmm.
in your ears, you heard something not
Uh-huh.
now, but that was old and you can't hear what was actually said. And Todd, he has so many amazing inquiries where you can pick that apart and really become aware, oh wow, yeah, it wasn't now, that triggered me when I was 5 or when I was 17 or when I was that was because 20 years ago she said exactly the same thing, and I've been ruminating about that for 20 years, and now she said it again, so it's like, um yeah, inquiry is really important whenever we feel something, like you say, push it again,
Tuck.
like you said, that it feels hurtful. I'm not gaslighting you at all and saying it doesn't feel hurtful. I'm just saying that that is not the end station, that there's more. You can inquire into why that felt hurtful, and what somebody else would feel hurtful about, you don't even bat an eye.
Yeah.
So why was that interpreted
Okay.
and felt hurtful? And what does that actually mean that it feels hurtful?
Thank you.
Thank
So
you,
welcome.
Susan.
That's so helpful.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Liz said
I
something.
just saw. So Caesar said inquiry book.
Yes,
Yeah, it actually is.
actually
It's
is.
an inquiry book. So yeah, no poetry in this one. So it's much more practical. And Liz said, I appreciate the translation of the scapegoat or bully or whatever translated across situations, echoing everywhere,
Yeah,
but what is actually being said now?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Love that. Thank you, Liz.
I just had a deja vu.
Oh, nice.
Hello, Glenda.
Hi, Glenda. Good to see you again.
Yeah,
Yeah, good to be here. Yeah, the retreat was definitely transformational, and one of the biggest things for me was to come to understand that everything is causes and conditions.
Yeah.
yeah,
On a deeper level, it was felt
yeah,
rather than just known with the mind.
Yes.
But
yeah.
and I appreciated Susan's question on the scapegoat, because I'm definitely a scapegoat in the family, and your answer. But one of the things I notice is some bypassing. So now that because I go, I'm finding myself having a reaction and going, this is causes and conditions. The end.
Mm.
Walking away and
Yeah.
going, it's causes and conditions,
Yeah.
causes and conditions. But yet in my solar plexus, there's this, or stomach, there's this nausea, like something is not being met.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And and when you said there's something too about not holding, don't hold something against somebody that pushes your buttons. I don't want to let go of not, I don't want to let go. I want to keep resentment.
yeah.
Mm.
And I'm not sure what that's about.
What does it do for you? What is that resentment? Is it the idea that it's protecting you from getting hurt again in the future?
And this is why I'm beginning to see that I am nothing but a pile of resentments. I mean, it's seriously.
Well,
I'm seeing all, and it's almost a sense of me. Well,
Mm,
and so when you
yeah,
say let go, or there's a sense of really seeing that this is causes conditions, there's a panic. Well, how do I be then?
mm,
Who am I?
mm,
and the question is too, if you were hypothetically to be able to just suddenly, with a snap of the fingers, drop all of the resentment and it's just gone, what would that bring up for you? How would that feel? Like, but not with thinking of it, but kind of see if you can put yourself in that position. All of a sudden, all of the resentment that you've ever held for anybody is gone. It's an absolute clean slate. How do you feel in this moment then?
Wow, there's a reaction really coming up right now, big time.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you say more about
because the mind is terrified,
mm,
it? Yeah.
and yet there was moments during and after the retreat where things were let go and there was just absolute freedom.
Yeah.
And there's this resistance coming in to experiencing that freedom.
mm,
There is, like I said, probably one level where there is a fear of being hurt. Those
mm.
resentments are there ostensibly to keep you protected, but
But
also
it's also,
it is
the thing is
also,
also them getting away with it.
well, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
If I let go of resentment of somebody that has hurt me, they're fucking off the hook.
yeah,
They're off the hook. They got away with it.
yeah,
That's not fair.
yeah,
I'm the one suffering and they got away with it.
yeah. But also, that's also, as you said, those resentments pile up to become you.
Mm,
What is there? What is left of you if you don't hold on to these stories? If you were to let go of them, what is left of Glenda?
well, immediately right now, it's coming up. Well, how do I act? How do I be? And do I be nice to those people that,
Authenticity. Right now, what you're doing is in the mind. You're trying to
right?
say,
I
well,
see
okay, if I
that.
don't have that as my guidepost, like you're using the mind to say, I'm
take
holding
signal real
resentment
quick.
against those people, so I have to act a certain way against those people. Now, if I don't have that, now I don't know what rule book to use. So instead of
Right.
using a rule book, that's all in the mind. Go with the authenticity. There are times where somebody has done something to us in the past, and we can meet them absolutely free and be perfectly congenial and happy and realize that that didn't happen now. That's
Mm,
not currently alive. That was something that I held on to and made a whole story and grudge about. And actually, both of us have kind of forgotten all about it. And our dynamic now is completely different than it would have been had, had I been just holding on to and living through that story. And then other times you might still have like a very bodily, visceral, nope, do not want to be around that person. And then you go with that. But instead of having this preordained, cognized rule book that you're playing out of, that person is on my shit list, that person is on it, this person's okay, but no, that person can never speak to again. See how it actually authentically unfolds. If you are kind to those people, you're kind to those people. You don't have to force kindness, but you also don't have to force a grudge that you don't actually feel in this moment if you're not reinforcing that with a story of why I'm supposed to feel this grudge right now. Is it authentically arising? Or is this just a rehearsed, narrative that my character in this story that I've written has to always have this lifelong grudge with, that family, even though we don't remember why we're feuding anymore. It's just part of our story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so as you're speaking, what's here is I'm beginning to see that I'm bypassing because I don't want to feel.
Mhm.
And I watched rewatched the videos you have on Ted,
Mm. Yeah.
and especially the one where his process and he was in the
Yeah.
house for days.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, there is an absolute terror of just being with, because it's almost like, well, who's with the
Mhm.
feeling?
Mhm.
Who's with that?
Can you answer that question?
And then the question, the scapegoat comes up because what's believed is the bad girl is going to be with the feelings of the
Mm.
bad girl.
Mm.
And there's no way the bad girl can make contact with the bad girl because it's too much.
There is no bad girl. There's
No.
no bad girl.
Right.
A scapegoat wasn't you were never a bad girl. You were just a girl. You're just a girl.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is just be with that. Just be with that girl. That whenever that feeling arises of you being a bad girl, then you can be the adult and going, it's okay, I'm here. I don't believe you're a bad girl. I just believe you were a girl. And I see that you weren't met and you weren't loved and you weren't, held and kissed. And now I'm gonna do that. So I'm here no matter what. And you can feel as a bad girl if you want to. It's completely fine. I don't believe that you are, but you can sit here and feel like a bad girl. It's okay. So just creating space for that.
Yeah.
And that's
And that's what I needed to
Yeah.
break down, I think, with this
Yeah.
question. Yeah.
But it is a convenient escape. It was also what we talked about yesterday, that we would like to make a talk about
yeah.
that. That it is a convenient escape when we realize that there is no I, which means that all my childhood trauma, I don't need to deal with that because
No.
there is no I. But that is just bypassing. That's just spiritual bypassing. That because I still have all the wounds in my nervous system. My muscles, my tendon, ligaments, and fascia still remembers everything. Somebody yells loud
Yeah.
and I feel my entire body contracting. So my mind might not, believe that it's here now, but my entire body reacts as if it is, which means that is the causes and conditions that needs to be created space for. And that is why it's so important to allow the body to experience and express. But we do that without a story.
Yeah.
So when somebody is yelling, or like Susan was just talking about, or like you just described, something is arising, something is happening, and the entire body is reacting right away. Like Todd said, it's not happening now. The body is reacting to something that was, it's not anymore. So can you just be the kind parent to that scared body and going like, okay, I hear you. I feel that contraction in the stomach. You're safe now. You're safe now. It used to be really scary, but now I'm just allowing you to feel this. We don't have to defend ourselves. We don't have to run away because you're not in any danger at all. You just feel that you are in danger. You just feel that you are shameful. You just feel that you're full of guilt. You're not. It just feels like that because your body is giving you all the signals that this is true, but it's not though. Not now. And like Todd said, you don't need to hold on to the stories to feel that shame and to feel that guilt because it is arising all the time, because we haven't felt it. So you can drop the stories. You don't need to hold on to the resentment for them to pay because they haven't done anything. They did something, you did a story about it, and you have repeated the story in your mind ever since. You're the perpetrator. You're both the victim and the perpetrator. You were the victim then, but you have been the perpetrator towards you ever since. And that can be dropped. You don't need to feel resentment because the resentment is in the past and only in your mind. Right now, in this moment, there are no perpetrator. There is no resentment. Nobody has done anything wrong. You can be with authenticity to the other person and to you, to whatever is arising right now. And if you feel guilt and shame right now, just stay with that. It doesn't mean that you have done something that makes you guilty or shameful. It just means that that is the emotions that are arising, a contraction in the body, a thought that is arising, a memory about what used to happen, and you just stay with that, and then it evaporates because you don't resist what is happening. You just allow what is happening, and then it will arise and evaporate.
I just wanted to
Thank
add
you.
also, in terms of where you had said, you're afraid of being in the body and being with whatever is there, because, who is with whatever is arising. Like when you take like Ted's example, because that was a
Mm.
very extreme one. So, you're vomiting and diarrhea and all this stuff, and it's just super unpleasant. The way that we normally interact with that sort of thing is there is a me who is in the middle of this experience who is sort of victimized by it or who is being subjected to this awful experience that I would like to end. What I tried to do with a lot of the inquiries in this past retreat, and also as I recall in the January one, is really about finding that sort of non-personal spaciousness, that awareness that's there that is separately, it's like impartial. It's not the me who is experiencing these things. There is still a feeling of vomiting happen. There is still a feeling of discomfort in the body, but it doesn't have that localized impacted victim mentality to it. That feeling is very much a story. That feeling is very much an illusion that's put on top of it that makes so much suffering out of what is otherwise just a mildly uncomfortable situation.
Mm.
So be aware if you go into the body and you start to feel something, some emotional thing or physical thing that feels uncomfortable, if that seems to be congealing that sense of the self who's in the middle of it, who is experiencing this, and see if you can widen the aperture so that you start to get more of that peripheral sense. You get more of that expansive sense where this is felt. We're not bypassing it. We're not running away from it. It can be felt, but it's felt in a way where it is the only thing that's being experienced, right? It's like some people use the term like, intimacy between the subject and the object or the seeing and what's seen. It's that feeling where there's a collapsing of there is just this discomfort and it's not a problem because there's nobody there that is in opposition to that
Mm.
discomfort being there. There's no idea that it should be different
Could be
or it
different.
could be different because there's now this just sort of open awareness that recognizes it, but that is perfectly fine letting it play out. So just be aware as you're doing this, if it does seem to be reconstructing that sense of a felt centralized I that's in opposition to it, or
Mm.
if you can take that other route around it.
It's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Glenda.
so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for making me coffee.
Oh, of course. Um, Gabby asked, kind of like PTSD. I think in response to um the kind of habitual, like immediate body reaction to certain people or certain situations where it's like,
I can't remember what I said.
Gabby, if you would like to
I can't remember what I said, Gabby. I'm
expand on
sorry.
that.
That's already
I'm
gone.
not sure I can remember either, but it was
It-
really good when I heard it. I just thought, we have these reactions that maybe it's just one initial trauma, but post-traumatic, like war veterans,
Yeah.
they
No,
regain
yeah,
and they're and
yeah.
that's what I was thinking. And I mean, I have these body sensations when something happens, and I know it's not relevant to the situation, but it's so distracting because it feels like it must be because the body is saying,
Yeah.
"Yikes." So anyway, I just thought maybe everything's almost like post-traumatic stress syndrome and
Yeah, and I also think that is why we call a lot of that um, developmental distress or trauma that we have had is called complex PTSD, CPTSD, because it's the same mechanism that is happening, but it can only happen if there is an I that is under threat or needs to be defended.
There you
And
go.
that is where the work that we do with the inquiries and really looking into so what is actually arising right now, not in my mind, but what is actually arising right now that is so, so helpful because you make a contact with your body and you notice what is happening without it running amok in your mind, but really slowing down and zooming in. So what is actually happening? There's clammy hands, there's a knot in my stomach, I get tunnel vision, and I can hardly breathe. Okay, can I be in a body where I have clammy hands, tunnel vision, and I can hardly be in my body? Can I be in my body where that is arising right now? And then you start to notice the difference between the memories of how it used to be when you were young and a child and didn't have the psychological maturity to deal with something that was way above your pay grade. But you can now. And that is where the healing happens without us even being aware of it with our conscious mind, because it's not in the conscious mind. The problem is not in the conscious mind, it is in the body.
That's very profound.
Mm.
Yeah, that's really cutting to the chase. And you
Yeah.
said something that really struck me, but I think it's gone now. But in that, just I'll have to ponder it because when you said it, there was a little quick flash of recognition. Oh, I think I had this reversed and didn't recognize it. I was kind of,
Yeah, yeah.
you said that, I was like, oh my God, that's a big game changer. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Gabby.
you're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is like this when we have these services. Afterwards, we can't recall what we talked
Yeah,
about.
no,
It's
it's
gone the moment it's out of the mouth. So
yeah.
we're happy it's recorded.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Lorenz.
Hi, Lawrence.
Hi,
How are you?
uh, I'm good, thank you.
Good.
I have a question regarding Fetter 2. So
Yes.
I'm doing a lot of emotional work right now. Um, and you always say if they react, reflect.
Yes.
And I have a problem with stories
Yeah.
Mm.
because if I reflect, I'm going into the story, for
Yeah.
example, my childhood or whatever, and it's difficult to let go of the story because there's always one reaction more, so
Yeah.
always one reflection more, and it's like Sisyphus is going up the
Absolutely.
hill with the rock, and I don't know I, when I'm ready to move on to the higher fetters, and
Yeah, I get that. I
yeah,
get that.
it's
It's
really
I completely understand, and I'm sorry that I haven't clarified it more when I say that when you react, you have to reflect. Because what I mean is not about reflecting about the story, because the story is just a fairy tale, a science fiction, a rom-com, a drama. It's nothing real at all. It's just like a Hollywood installation or a childhood fairy tale. There's nothing real in it at all. What I want you to reflect on in how is that experience right now? So somebody says something and you immediately react. That reaction is interesting because if there is no I, there can't be any reaction. So what is it right now that you believe is true, is real? Where is that one that is being threatened or needs to be defended, or where is that, what is arising right now? And it was just what we just talked with Glenda about, that there is that underlying belief about something is in a certain way, but that is just an underlying belief and that can be seen through with that reflection. So it's the reflection in the moment. What is happening in Loris right now that makes me believe that Janice said that to me and now I need to defend myself? What is it actually that Janice did? What can anybody do that makes me angry or annoyed or irritated? How is that even possible? They are outside. How can they strike a chord in me? And what does that actually mean? How is that actually felt? And that is what I want you to reflect on. Not so much that what if Janice said something that's true, or if Janice reminds me of mom and dad, and story, 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 story. It's not that, because that is never ending.
Yes,
If
yes.
you stay here, if you stay here, you're very, very close to the end.
Mm. But two questions coming up
Yeah, yeah,
regarding
yeah, go
what you
on.
said. So 2 days ago, I had a difficult situation with my girlfriend because after we had sex, I noticed that something isn't quite right, and she told me that she doesn't feel attracted to my body, and I have body issues since I was 11. So I was really reacting, not so
Yeah,
much because I did a lot of inquiry already and
Mm,
yeah,
yeah.
didn't leave the room. So stayed with her, but I was so hurt.
yeah.
Mm,
So I wasn't sure how to investigate
I
in
understand.
the reaction because what was there was that I'm hurt because I don't feel that I'm good enough as I am.
Exactly. Exactly. You believe that what she says is true. But
Yes.
if she says, I'm not attracted to your body, that means Loris doesn't have an attractive body. But it doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't. You cannot not have an attractive body. You can't have an attractive body either. You have a body. Whether that is attractive or non-attractive, that's an opinion, that's in the mind. It's not real or relevant in that sense. And what she thinks about your body says nothing about you.
mm,
Nothing about you. It only tells something about her. But you believed it to be true. The pain was in you, but because you believed it to be true, you were reminded about a story that you have told yourself since you were 11. Over and over and over and over and over. And then she started to sing the same song, and you absolutely believed it.
Yeah, but shouldn't I investigate in exactly this story that what made me that I don't feel good enough and that
That,
yeah to evoke the
no,
pure feeling of it.
yeah, no, because it won't help you anywhere, because that is
Mm,
that is never ending. Where you're closer to the end is if you investigate, how does it feel to be in a body? What is it about, and you're brilliant at this, that what is it about your body right now that is wrong? Not in your mind. Not in your mind. Because if you start, oh, I want a six pack, okay, how does that feel in the body that you don't have a six pack? You can't fucking feel if you have a six pack or not, you know? That is in the mind. That is mind created and socialization and all of that, how the society wants a male body to look and all of that. That is not real. That is just stories. How does it feel to be in your body right now? And that is
mm,
an investigation you can do right now while we're sitting here. If you close your eyes and feel your body, how does it feel to be in your body right now?
yeah, uncomfortable.
Okay, be
Really
more
sad.
specific. You take over now. You're good at this.
Mm,
in what way is it uncomfortable to be in the body right now?
mm, I feel sadness in my tummy and in my eyes.
Good. Does that sadness feel like it's related to the body? Or is that because it's coming up as part of this story? It was triggered by feelings that you felt in regard to thoughts about the body since you were 11.
First, I wanted to say it's so deep in my body, the sadness, but no, yeah, it's part of the story. The
Mm.
story is sad.
Yeah. Your The idea that you have been holding on to for all of those years, every time it's brought up, it brings with it this same feeling. So it doesn't mean that the feeling is deep. It just means that it's a similar sensation that you get every time this one particular thought comes up and this one particular story is brought to mind. Like Pernilla said, it's really important to see what you're actually experiencing. But it is okay to also notice that, as far as the reflection goes, having that instance of, your girlfriend says this to you, you immediately feel that, recognize, oh, okay, this is that body dysmorphia story. This is that shame about the body story. And that's as far as you have to take it. You don't have to go beyond that to, why it started and or any of that. But just notice like, okay, that's all this is. This is that same story that I've been telling myself for a long time. Now, how does it feel? And is there truth beyond that story? Because right now you feel sad because that story got activated, right? Is there anything that feels wrong about the body when that story isn't activated?
No, no, it's fine.
So what happens when when those stories get activated? Is it because you see yourself in a mirror or think about your body in a certain way?
Yeah, I think of myself in a certain way that I'm ugly and not to be loved
Mm.
and never able to be loved.
Hmm.
You notice there are some wide leaps of assumption that are made in there, right? So first of all, like Pernilla said, the idea of attractiveness is completely uh, objective,
Subjective.
subjective, sorry, completely objective. It's completely subjective, right? You being attractive to one person does not mean that you're universally attractive, or you being unattractive to one person does not mean you're universally unattractive. Whatever rule book you are using to judge your own attractiveness is based off of your own conditioning of everything that you've seen and heard from other people. And there is no inherent truth in that. So being able to have that kind of that objective viewpoint where you're like, hold on a second. Okay, am I this image that I have about how I should look? How is that created? And you don't, again, have to go down the entire timeline of how it was created, but recognizing like right now, is there is there any reality to the rule book that I'm supposedly appealing to as to what makes somebody attractive or not, and what makes me attractive or not? So that you really get below the initial thought, because there's a belief there that needs to be shaken up and broken. And the way we do that is to recognize, first of all, that the belief is there. Second, that the belief is not true, that it's not based on anything factual and just objectively true. And then start to feel into what would it feel like if this wasn't true? What would it feel like to feel that you are attractive? What would it feel like to feel that you are neither attractive nor unattractive?
And
Right?
you just Lawrence?
Exactly. And notice then that there's also a leap that you're making to go
Mm.
from physical attractiveness to being lovable or worthy of love. That is a
It's a very long jump.
very long jump to go, right? Um, the idea, I mean, it might be a case by case basis. One person might base their ability to love somebody on a certain um, physical attraction quotient that they have arbitrarily designated. But that has nothing to do on the greater scale with everybody, right? Your lovability has absolutely nothing to do with your physical appearance. It has nothing to do with you even having a body, right? Your lovability for yourself, I guess this is the first question I should ask. Are you able to have any sort of feeling of self-love?
Oh yes, yes,
Okay.
I do.
Good,
I,
good. I'm happy to hear that. So is this only a feeling that you are unlovable by others?
yes,
And do you feel like you're only unlovable in a romantic relationship or also unlovable in a platonic way?
no, romantic.
Okay, good. So breaking this down to where you can start to see that the idea of attractiveness is falsely, constructed. And hopefully you can start to also stretch that out to noticing that this idea that lovability is based on attractiveness, if attractiveness doesn't exist, then that idea of lovability has no foundation at all. It's just,
Yeah,
right? If you
yeah,
have some deeper like inability to have self-love, then that's something that really needs to be met, because then of course you're never going to feel it from anybody else either. But if you're okay on that level, you're okay on platonic love, familial love, you don't feel like you're an inherently shameful, unlovable little creature, and it's just in a romantic way, then it's really undermining that idea that lovability is in any way related to this completely ludicrous idea of universal attractiveness.
And also really be curious about what is it that makes you, lovable as a friend. You're a great friend and you know that you're a great friend. So what is it that you put into a relationship that is so, so different than a friendship? You know, a, an amazing relationship is built on friendship. I mean, I loved her, there's no doubt about it, but I really like him.
Mm.
I like his personality. I like him he's my best friend, and I like him, and that is the foundation for love.
Mm.
So if you have that feeling that you are likable, you have good friends and they really like you, and you see that you're a really good friend, you are supportive and you are funny and you are, and you share your own experiences with your friends and you have good friends in your life. What is the difference between that and a romantic relationship? Why do you think there's such a huge difference that a friend is okay to not find you attractive, but your partner, your sexual partner, is not? She it's like you have an idea about a relationship, a romantic relationship, being a completely different kettle of fish
Mm.
than a friendship. And that is interesting to look into.
But so hmm, when you said that I have to investigate what does it feel now if the reaction is coming with my girlfriend, and I feel a lot of resistance because that would help me to be a chameleon. Because if I just investigate in myself and say, oh, okay, that's an inside job,
Mm.
and it has nothing to do with you. I just have to feel my body and yeah, to create space. Then I don't have to work on the relationship anymore. I don't have to tell my girlfriend, yeah, that wasn't good that you said this, and we should work on this, yeah, on this part inside of you what criticize everything and is so destroying. So that, yeah, it supports me
No,
to be a chameleon, to just be
No,
invisible
it's
and
not
just
meant like
go with the
no,
that.
flow.
no, no. It's also important to know, if a relationship doesn't work, right? Like if your girlfriend is basing things on her idea of attractiveness, and if she feels like she's for whatever reason not attracted to you in that way, it's okay for her to be honest about that. And also, it's okay for you to find somebody who does find you attractive because she is not the final arbiter of you being attractive. um, you don't have to change yourself for that, and you definitely don't need to just, "Oh, well, it's okay. You can think whatever you want about me, and I'll, just kind of work on that." We don't want that. It's
Mm.
it's to notice that your internal jump that you make to her saying that she's not physically attracted to you, to you being, I'm unlovable, nobody's ever going to be attracted to me or love me. That's a huge jump that is happening in you. It is very possible. Like, I would say everybody on the planet has somebody, even if they're like a supermodel, they have people who do not find them attractive, right? There are some people, they're just not their type. That is perfectly okay. So it's really about us finding somebody who does find us attractive and who we do actually love and get along with and find, to be good, friend wise as well. And ultimately having that in a relationship is super important. Not everyone is going to fit that mark. And it's okay to notice that, okay, well, this one just doesn't check those boxes, but it's not you that has to change to become more palatable for her in some way.
And also, I just want to emphasize we're not sitting and saying that you should break up with a girlfriend.
Yes.
It's not at all what we're saying. But it's also to set her free to have periods where she doesn't find you attractive. You don't know what is going on in her. She might be pushed in school or at work or anything, and she's just like, sex at the moment, I'm not into that at all. And then that's completely okay. But you don't take it personal. You don't jump on the bandwagon of you not being attractive just because somebody says so. I mean, if somebody calls you a purple leprechaun, you're not going to spend the next week ruminating about being purple, you know? So it's like that. Allow her to feel like she feels. And if it's something that is in the relationship that it doesn't work, I mean, you're gorgeous, and so why not find somebody who thinks you're gorgeous? You know what I mean? But it's not to say that just because she doesn't find you physical attractive, that then the relationship doesn't work, because it could be other things. It could be something that she didn't mean like that, but it was just something else going on in her life. It could be a million things, because the ears sit on you, and you heard what you wanted to hear when she said it. You know what I mean? She could have said 1,000 things in one sentence, and that was the only thing you picked up on, because that was the one that ding rang true in you, and that was the one that needed your attention.
Yeah, yeah, it's really true, because it wasn't it was because she has a lot going on and so on, and
Yeah, exactly.
childhood, but it's really difficult to develop a healthy relationship, because she said it in a harmful way, not
Yeah.
a loving way. And if I'm just doing the inside job, it's difficult to stand up for myself, because there's no self.
Yeah.
So
Careful
it's a
with
bit
that
of a
one. Careful with
paradox.
that one, because
That can be a slippery slope.
because I'm not talking about your relationship specifically, because I've never met your girlfriend, but if you for some reason right now are in a relationship that is toxic, that she's not good for you, and her role in your life right now is to remind you of all the things that you hate about yourself, then obviously she's useful for that at the moment, but she won't be useful for that for the rest of your life, hopefully, because you will realize that you're gorgeous, and there's like, why wouldn't anybody want to, be with you? You know what I mean? So also keep staying in your own power, where you feel your self-worth, not with what you can say and do, but with who you are, and be true to that. I can warmly recommend you to purchase the workshop that we just had, because we're working with all this. You have all the material you need for all this, because it's very much about, about working with that underlying belief that you have in your body, and allowing your body to experience and express. And as you have heard lots of people said, that you will get over that hurdle without your conscious mind knowing what happened, but there's just a clarity that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing openly about this.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And let us know how you get on.
Yeah.
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 I will.
It's really good seeing you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, we
And
got
Caesar.
Caesar.
Yay. Hey,
Hello,
Caesar.
Caesar.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
We
we can.
can.
Hello.
Hello.
My question is going to be a bit of a repetition. It seems like
It's okay. Can you
everybody
put it over there?
Actually, I think we're up all
everybody's
the way.
stating the same
Can you
thing.
turn your microphone up at all by any chance? Do you have any?
Let me connect my headset. Maybe it might be better.
Yeah, it's very quiet. I have my speakers up all the way, but it's very quiet.
Let me know if this gets any better. Just a sec. Sorry. Does it get any better now?
That is
Yes, thank
better.
you.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so my issue is similar to what people shared before, as like triggers as well. Like a situation happened at work today. I had certain expectations. I had a meeting like with my manager, and then something that happened like really triggered me, and I noticed like these stories, patterns, like explaining that you mentioned on the second fetter, and I was wondering how to further explore it. So yeah, basically what I noticed is this like contraction, this kind of like energy in the chest, just feeling like hurt or like disrespected or something like that. Like I'm not being appreciated, that kind of thing. It came up, and then after the fact, after I turned off the call, I noticed my mind just keeps ruminating. It goes into like trying to explain who is fair, what's not fair,
Mm.
what's done. Yeah, and I could notice of what you explained before. I looked into like questioning these stories and just like, okay, what is actually fair?
Yeah.
What is actually happening?
Yeah.
What why does it matter the story? What's in the body? And it fluctuates. Like it once I realize I'm just like making up, trying to either make myself a victim or make them evil. Like once this is seen through, like the body calms down again, but soon it starts to come back up and just keeps coming back and forth again. I wonder how would you go about investigating this
You do an
further?
inquiry about it.
Well, I'm curious also. So when you have that you do the little investigation, you notice it, you see that what is fair, and that kind of goes away. What is the next thing that happens? I know you said that it starts to come up again. Is it because another thought comes up about it that triggers that again? Is it a thought first, or is it some other sensation in the body first?
I feel the sensation keeps like floating around here. It doesn't get as triggering as some strong moments, but I feel the body like keeps an energy going that's still slightly uncomfortable. It keeps shooting me back in the head and stories and narratives, or I would just reach for a cookie or something like that. Like I
Yeah.
just want to like, this has to go away. It's like really uncomfortable. Yeah.
Okay, so what is making that sensation uncomfortable?
Mm, I don't know.
It's I,
uh,
I I venture to guess that it's probably not as actually uncomfortable as the assumption is about it, right? Because as you said, it's triggering more and more thoughts. There are these, you're ping-ponging back between that sensation and more thoughts, which are themselves quite uncomfortable, I'm assuming, if they're putting you in a victim position and creating these,
yeah.
perpetrators out there and all that. None of that is a good place to be.
Yeah, I guess this is why I wanted to go away because it keeps like it kind of makes me restless, and then I think it's because I feel a bit out of control, like it's just like taking over me, and yeah,
Mm.
So this is where we go back to again, one thing that can help this is to find, like I said to Glenda, that kind of open awareness, spaciousness, where that sensation perfectly okay to be there.
Mm.
So if you feel that, I mean, if right now, if you can feel that sensation come up, like if you can remember the story that happened at work and kind of drum that up and feel how it's there, hold that sensation kind of in captivity for a moment. So you're just completely aware of this ball of tension, whatever it is. You don't even need to label it, but whether it's got like sort of a anxious, restless quality, however it is, it's fine. Let that label
hmm
go. Be with just the sensation of it.
hmm
And in the bare experience of that sensation, without immediately going to thought about it, can you tell that this sensation has anything to do with the situation at work?
No, it feels like from the past, like stuff from the past that's triggering this.
Good. So one thing you can do is to start out by just feeling it. And as you inhale, see if you can breathe into the sensation. Feel what happens as you breathe into the chest swells, and you just feel this sensation being met and almost energized by this. We're not making it more intense, but you're bringing this both attention to it and also this openness of breath that is reminding the body also that it's okay to breathe and exist while this sensation is present.
Yeah, it feels like it's moving a little bit to the gut and to the throat.
Nice. So just keep holding it wherever it is. It's okay. And keep breathing. And like I had mentioned to Glenda, if is there a feeling for you of, as these sensations are there, does it feel like it's recreating a sense of a Caesar who's kind of in the middle at the as the victim, not just of the story that might have propelled all of this, but also as a victim to the appearance of these sensations who just needs them to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of reinforcing that sense of victimized self that's there, we want to see if, first of all, can you tell how that little Caesar is being made? In other words, which aspects of your five senses right now is that Caesar showing up in? Which of the five senses or combination of them, if you can very quickly get kind of a sense of how that is coming about?
It comes like some very quick flashes of memories, but it's mostly in the body, like the tactile sensation.
Good. And so there's a sensation in the belly and in the throat. Where is the Caesar felt who is at the mercy of these sensations being here?
Maybe mm, it's like weird. It's like that. I don't know actually. Maybe feels like
Mhm.
in the head, maybe like
Yeah.
behind the eyes more.
Good. So feel the sensations that are behind the eyes. Feel the sensation in the throat, the sensation in the belly. If they move, if they change, that's fine. Just keep feeling those. Keep feeling the sensation in the eyes. Is there any difference in the quality of those sensations that make one of them into Caesar or a victim and the other one the sort of outside perpetrating sensation that is so uncomfortable it needs to go away?
I guess just the intensity, maybe a little bit.
Good. But is
Like
the
I'm feeling the foot and the heart, for
yeah,
example. So it feels like the same thing, but just a little bit more pronounced in the heart.
yeah, great. But the overall quality of the sensation is effectively the same, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So now holding all of those in awareness, see if you can feel sort of the boundaries of the body, wherever that seems to be. Feel the pressure of the skin on the seat or on the clothes. Feel the air on the skin. And then see if you can feel this peripheral opening. So you might notice if while you're doing this, you're feeling that even though your eyes are closed, that you're still sort of centrally focused on something. See if you can relax that gaze again, even with the eyes closed, take in more of the periphery of the vision and see if you can expand as the visual field is expanding out to the periphery. See if you can take that felt sense, which is very contracted along the eyes, throat, chest, stomach, and see if you can expand that felt sense out to where you're feeling more of the boundary of the skin and even beyond the boundary of the skin.
Yeah, right now the boundaries are not very like clear. It's just like a fog.
Nice. So see if you can be in that fog, right? So that is taking up equal precedence, equal priority as the sensations that are in the belly and the throat. And while you're feeling this kind of outer fog, do you notice that it's less intrusive that these sensations in the belly and the throat and the chest are there? They can still be there, but do they seem less problematic that they're there?
Yeah.
Hmm. So this is something where in a very quick dose that you can do when you're in a situation like at work where if you don't have time to go and do like because we can do those things like we did in the workshop where you were asking into the sensation, what emotion do I feel when I feel this? And you can go down that route, or you can dialogue with the sensation itself and ask, if it has messages for you. But if you're at work, something you can practice doing is having this more open, spacious, um, 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 sen- the word has just lost me. I'm sorry. But having the open space for these sensations to appear
Like
starts to collapse
panoramic,
that. Sorry.
you mean like panoramic view, like
Yeah,
more,
yeah, having more of that panoramic, open peripheral kind of experience, it puts it so that all of a sudden that centralized sense of Caesar, have you noticed that as you go more out to the periphery, that sense of Caesar that's kind of behind the eyes or somewhere located in there starts to kind of loosen a bit?
yeah,
So this gives you more space for these sensations to appear where you don't have to immediately go to the reaction or the story about it. And this can be done for emotionally triggered things like, somebody says something to you at work, you feel this contraction in the chest, and you immediately start to spiral into stories. Feel the sensation in the chest, and then see if you can widen out to make room for it. So it's there, you can still feel it, but all of a sudden it's taking up a much smaller part of the overall real estate of this, awareness that's here. And then from there, you might find if you just sit there for a minute or two sitting with the sensation that the stories no longer need to be connected to it because there's nothing going on with this sensation that has anything to do with the actual experience of this moment. And there's no story that's actually connected to it outside of the mind reinforcing it with
Mm.
another idea after another idea after another idea. It's just simply sensation in the body, which can be there for as long as it needs to be without causing you to have to go grab something to eat or distract with the mind. So widen the the space in which all of this is appearing. And you can do that for the emotional things. You can also do that for, little physical pains, things that happen that you can't immediately do anything about. But it makes it so that 4 or 5 reactivity against it just suddenly is kind of meaningless. It just kind of falls away because now there's just sensation. It's perfectly fine because the you that was in the center that had to be against it, needing for it to be different than it is, that dissolves along with that the opening of the space.
yeah, yeah,
I
that
love
makes
that.
sense.
I love that. It's so useful. It's so, so useful asking those questions. So when your boss says something and you have that feeling of I'm not appreciated, then really in that moment, just see if you can push pause on everything. And like Todd said, see if you can, is there a connection between the thought about your boss not appreciating you and the contraction in your chest? How can those two be connected? How can something your boss say be connected with your body at all without you connecting it? That's not possible. So, is there any connection at all between what the boss said and what you feel in your body? None at all. Okay, so your boss can finish the meeting and then you can turn the computer off and then just sit and notice, okay, so where did I just place a Caesar in the middle? What is it right now that I need to create space to that clearly has happened once in my life because I have a deep, deep-seated, embodied physical memory about it. So what is it right now that needs my love, attention, and compassion to what is happening? It's got nothing to do with my boss at all. But he was just the medium to activate something that you need, to feel into. It's just whatever he said, it's just a metaphor for whatever you need to address in it. And do what Todd just did with you, where you dissolve that Caesar that's a victim and that can have an opinion about anything being any different than what it is, dissolving that, and then it just becomes so much easier to be with.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and the beauty is when as you're doing that, it is even though you're not going back to whatever time in your life that, first injury happened, this kind of thing will lead you to the next time your boss says something or you feel that sense of unfairness. All of a sudden unfairness just doesn't make sense in the same way. That doesn't have that same traction that it used to. And that's why in the fourth and fifth inquiry, we do a lot of that where it's like, does craving actually exist? Does aversion actually exist in that
Does
same way?
irritation and annoyance
Yeah,
actually exist?
exactly. How am I translating what I'm feeling into the belief that this other thing
Mm.
is real and that I need to behave a certain way because this thing is now present? It's not present. There's an idea. There's some sort of, mental activity that's going on, and there's some sort of sensation in the body, and there's this false connection that's happening between them. And we just need to see that that connection is false, that it doesn't really exist, that there are thoughts that don't need to be believed and sensations that don't need to be villainized. And when you have that space to be able to accept everything just appearing, problem solved.
Mm.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Sid.
I think the retreat really helped, especially like talking about the bubble of reality. This has become a lot clearer to me. I
Mm.
was just like, okay, I could see everything happening. I could see what was going on, but I was just, yeah, wondering, okay, is this just like sit with the sensations and yeah, this will decondition the system, but I guess that's it. Yeah.
And you
Mm.
can, do those other things that we talked about if you're in like a situation where you're at home and you have more space to do it, where you do the like, when I feel the sensation in my chest, I feel the emotion. You
Yeah.
can go down that road and you can do, dialoguing with it and being like, do you have any message for me? Is there anything you want to tell me? You can feel into it and just feel the emotionality that's there. And just instead of like putting it to, oh, this is unfairness or something else, you just feel the emotion that is inherent there and just completely let it play itself out.
Mm.
Those are also options that you can do when you're, not at work and
Yeah.
and have the time to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Caesar.
much, Caesar.
So
Yeah,
lovely to
yeah.
see you. Thank you. Okay.
Uh,
Next up, we
Osa.
have Osa. Hello.
Hi. Hello. Oh, you're
Still
muted.
muted. You
Okay.
got it. You got it.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, hello. I'd like to share a bit where I'm at in my work with myself. And I recently listened to the first Fetter again, and I think I haven't done all the Fetters, but the first Fetter, I think I've gone as far as fourth, fifth Fetter, but the first Fetter is really difficult for me.
Mm.
I mean, intellectually I
Yeah.
understand it, of
Yeah.
course, and I agree with it, and I'd like to believe it more deeper, but I can't.
Mm.
It's so hard,
Yeah.
and I think it has to do with also that I have been working a lot um, with feelings from my childhood, and I've seen that I'm quite without any boundaries.
Mm.
So now I'm starting to understand why
Mm.
there's no boundaries.
Yeah.
I've recently really felt, as you talked about in the beginning, this how abandoned I was as a child,
Mm.
really deep, and that is, and I can see how I built my personality as very much to listen in to people,
Yeah.
what they want from me,
Yeah.
to be a pleaser,
Yeah.
to get love.
Yeah.
And then again, I think I established quite a strong grown-up self. I'm not a doormat at all. But still I get triggered
Yeah.
in these situations.
Yeah.
And I can see that is because I haven't gone to the bottom of these feelings.
Mm.
And I haven't been with this little child enough. I haven't really felt her as I'm beginning to do now.
Yeah, wonderful.
That is, I mean, that is hard.
Yeah.
It's not like I think I'm quite okay. I understand that my mother, she did her best. I'm not disappointed or angry with my parents, but it's really hard to see how this personality I have formed is so based on this.
Yeah.
Please, sensation.
Yeah. It's I mean, our personality is a survival mechanism that was built when we were kids on how we navigated our everyday life. And our nervous system became an intrinsic part of that, the part of the brain that is developing our nervous system, the HPA axis in the brain that is developing our personality and our nervous system is built from the second trimester until we're 3 years old. And that is where the fight, flight, freeze, and please comes from. And it sounds to the way the words that you're using when you're describing all this, it sounds like you have a lot of that, that fight in you, that you're focusing very much on what you can say and do, and I'm not a doormat, I'm nobody stepping on me and all of that. But that, it's just a show. It's just a parade. It's just like, it's because you believe, and no, not believe. It's because when you were a kid, the only way you could survive in your family dynamics and in your life, it was with doing, with being able to and to do and to, that was the way you dug yourself out of, and your entire life has been shaped like that. That by doing, by saying, by abilities, by all of that, that is where your value lies, and that is how you value other people. But in that, you can never ever relax because the moment you relax, you're not can say do anymore. And you haven't yet found your footing in life where it's just about being.
No.
And that footing needs to be found first before you can see through the self, because there is a part of you that is on high alert all the time for all the dangers luring out there, and you need to be ready to fight.
Yes.
And you can't just put, your armor down, and then, because then you're going to be stumped all over. You believe that you're going to be walked all over.
Yes,
So,
and it was very clear because during several years it went well.
yeah.
I had lots of friends. They really liked me, and work went well, and everything was. And then I had this situation at work with two other people that right away sent me back to my childhood.
Yeah. Thank God for that. Thank God for that.
Yes.
Otherwise, you would have lived in that delusion all
Yeah.
along.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's like stripping all the clothes.
Yes.
The emperor completely naked.
Yeah.
And it's really been. I mean, I had been telling myself things like, "But come on, in your age, why do you
Don't
care?"
gaslight yourself.
Yes.
Please, also, don't gaslight yourself.
Yes.
Whatever you feel,
Yeah.
just like we just spoke with Caesar about. Whatever is arising because it's a metaphor. There's something in you right now that is ripe, that is ready for you to really feel into and stay with and love and be happy for it to be there. So whatever it was with your two colleagues, something arose in you, and then do the inquiry that Todd just did with Caesar just before, with that topic, and feel into, okay, can I be the parent right now? Can I be that love and compassion that I didn't have as a child, where I don't need to fix and fight and all of that, but where I can just be and then just stay with that. I would also recommend you to now when you work with the first fetter, because of everything you have said, to go to the sixth fetter about boundaries. And there's a lesson there. I think it's called Clear Boundaries or something like that. I
Yeah.
would recommend you to watch it because I'm talking about the 3 different layers of boundaries. And by listening to that lesson, it might become more clear for you which of the boundaries that would be beneficial for you to start with.
Mm. Yes, because I feel like I have to do some, or automatically, I'm beginning to do some kind of reconstruction work of
Yes.
myself,
Yeah.
and I can feel what's coming up. I've done with also with a therapist some work with changing the seat and talking to myself
Yeah.
in these situations, and I can feel what's coming up. It's quite amazing. It's now I'm about 5, 6, 7 years old, completely different child
Yeah.
than the one I I developed.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting to see because I mean she's much more. I mean, she feels much more healthy,
Yeah.
and she's not so afraid. And I get this feeling that it could be in another way.
Yeah. And it is. I mean, your past is happening now.
Yeah.
In the seventh fetter, there's a lesson where I think it's called "Time is not real" or something like that, where we go back in time to heal our past memories about different things because your past is happening now in your mind right now. It's
Mm.
not something solid that is somewhere else. It's only here right now in your mind, which means that you can go back in time and rewrite the history. And when you rewrite that history, what used to be is not anymore.
Mm.
And that is when it starts to become really, really remarkable how we can heal our lives in reverse.
Yeah. Yeah, really. And I also got this feeling. I mean, I can also more clearly see how restricted I am in this old way of being.
Yeah, it was just a
Um,
survival. Yeah,
yeah,
it was
and
just a survival.
how depressing and
Yeah,
closed that
yeah,
state is.
yeah,
I just got a touch of it. Yes, in this weekend when I work with these things in different ways about. Suddenly I felt like, but hello, maybe I could have an amazing life. I mean, maybe that's for me.
yes, yeah,
And that was
exactly.
really a new thought. I mean, hmm, perhaps that's possible. I don't have to. I mean, and then I could see how the story I've been telling myself about my future is, oh, yeah, this life wasn't that great. I mean, oh, can see how many years, perhaps some 10, 15 years, and then I develop some sickness and illness, and then I'll die, and
Yeah.
that's perhaps not, that's okay. I mean, this wasn't such a good version of myself anyway, so,
It's
and
strange, isn't
some,
it? It's
yeah.
so strange. It's so strange. But it's so but what is fascinating really to look at is how the theme song is the same. The theme when you think about your childhood and when you think about the future and when you think about now is the same. How is
Mm,
that possible when nothing is permanent? When
yeah.
nothing ever stays the same, how
Mm,
can how can the theme about Osa stay the same? It can only stay the same if you keep maintaining it. If you're
yeah.
cultivating it like a little flower that you're taking care of every single day by telling you that you have no worth and you're not worthy and in 15 years you will get sick and then you will die, you
Yeah.
know.
That's
And
so
that
deep.
and that's like the in your fantasy you can create anything and that's the version you go with.
Yeah, and then I really believe that okay, nothing I think is true.
It's not.
No.
There's nothing. There's nothing you think is true. There's nothing you think is true. There's not a single thought you have that is posing any kind of truth.
Mm.
It's only your bubble of reality. It's only whatever you have thought previously repeated.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, it's quite amazing.
Again, I can warmly recommend you to purchase the workshop like we had, because it's very much about embodiment. It's very much about you getting back to the muscle development and the abilities that was developed when you were 5 and when you were earlier, so you can allow your body to move in a way so those tensions can be released. And by releasing those tensions, a lot of the mindset is going with it as well.
Yeah. I have a lot more work to do with my body. I've been really cut off.
Yeah. But
Feeling.
again, it's only a survival mechanism. It's only
Yes.
what you had to do to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this work with boundaries, I think you said, I mean, you can't dissolve all. If you haven't had any boundaries, it's hard to dissolve them. I mean,
No, those need to be built first.
You need to build, and there are 3 levels of boundaries. And I would recommend you to go to the lesson about clear boundaries and learn about the boundaries, and then for yourself start to notice, okay, which boundary is the most important for me to start working with. Because you might think right now that the most important boundary to work with is saying no to other people, but it might not be the most important for you. Actually, there might be something else underneath, another one that you need to work with, and there are 3 different types. So go to the curriculum with the clear boundaries and work with the boundaries, so you have a better picture of where that comes from, what it is that actually needs your attention.
okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We just had a question from
Lorenz said, but is this going back in time, not just another story we were going into? I thought we don't have to go back. And that's the thing. It's a tool, right? We're not, it's something you don't have to do. It's one possible tool that you can use, but it's really about recognizing that when you do that, you're not literally going back in time, that there is something metaphorical right now about this memory coming up. There's something that you can learn from that, and you can by using the mind to go back in time to this some other point.
being 11 and starting with the body dysmorphia, for example.
Exactly. You are actually doing it now, and you are actually working with the mind that is here right now that feels that same thing that 11-year-old with body dysmorphia felt. And so it's just one more tool to use in the moment that feels like we're going back to this time that seemed more relevant and more distant because it keeps coming up and keeps coming up and keeps coming up. But every time that we feel it come up, it's always now. And every time that we feel like we're traveling back in time into a memory, it's still now. And every time we work with anything, it's still now. So as you're doing that, we don't need to feed the story of it, but it's one possible way of getting at, especially if we have like, sometimes we can be really locked off to feeling certain things now. But it seems like if we go back in time, I felt whatever it was much more prevalently back then, but now I'm kind of distance. Well, if you go back, use it as a way to kind of bypass or circumvent that reluctance to feel something that's here right now, and see if that's another way in for you to approach something that just needs to be met here now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's Gita.
Gita. Oh, you're welcome, Lawrence.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Well, I'm going to share because it's very uncomfortable for me to share. So I'm going to do the same thing as last time, share. I had the experience for some time ago that I've always said that my husband is someone who's he everything annoys him, and he's very han brokker sig. Någon sån här kille.
He's complaining.
Yeah, he's
He's
complaining
complaining.
a lot. And I was just looking at him and I just realized, and it got very clear to me that it was my inner world manifesting in the outer world, in him speaking. I only heard these complaining words only over and over again, and it just got so clear. And it was a very good feeling because I could understand how things just manifest itself.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. And then since I've been doing this for like 4 years, I can really say that I've never been in a better place.
Mm.
And as I go along, it's like the ego, it's very difficult to grasp what's going on at the moment.
Mm.
So I look at my surroundings, what is happening, to like go and have a look at what
Yeah.
doesn't really function.
I love that.
And this is the thing. Oh, because I wasn't sure that was the right way to see it.
No, but I love that. You're using the bubble of reality. If you have that, I don't really know what's going on in me right now. So now I'm taking a look outside and see what are all those people out there doing?
Yeah.
Or they're complaining or they're annoyed and they're okay. You know they're not anything. You are just projecting you onto them, which means that you are annoyed, you are complaining, you are okay. So what is it right now in me that is diverting, and what is it right now in me that needs my compassion, kindness, and loving?
Yeah, that's what I do. And like this year, I was going to the intention was to like go to the doctors and spend like not spend not I don't want to say money, but it is always going to have to be around money as for me because I have this money issue. Anyway, I was going to take a test for the hormones to see where I am, where I'm about to go, and so on. So I set up an appointment with Henriette in Denmark
Yeah.
to have a look at this. And then I did some other choices, but then um, it is as if I decide to do this and I decide this is the way to go, but then the money just slip out in another way because I have a money issue. I don't, if people leaves me, it doesn't matter. If I get a new job, doesn't matter. But I have this money issue, and this is where it always shows up. And it's really funny because I got this new job and I am supposed to have money on my bank account, but I don't because I set the intention that I was going to take care of myself, and then I don't have any money to do it. So it got clear that, or maybe that it's like I set myself aside. I always, it's like the filter. Last time it was the guilt filter. This time I've noticed this filter where maybe I know what I would like to do, but it comes into my head and then it just goes away immediately. And yeah, I just wanted to share this because I don't have any feelings about it, and I don't know how to approach it because I don't feel any discomfort. I just realize it's like that, but
yeah. What I find really interesting is that when you talk about it, all of it is in the future. It's not now. In the future, I'm going to take care of myself when I'm seeing a hormone specialist that is going to help me about my hormones, and then I'm going to take care of myself. And by doing that, by spending the money on that, on those tests, then I'm taking care of myself. But you're completely forgetting that it's happening now.
Yeah, I am trying at work. Like today, I went to work and I was working in a kitchen where I was supposed to do a lot of calculation on a machine and there's a lot of noise, and I usually do it in a very accurate way. But if I was going to do it in a very accurate way, or the usual way I do it, then I would be there. I would still be there, but then I wouldn't have been able to drive back home or be normal in my head. I would go to pieces. So I decided that I was going to do it in a way where I could stay stay alive on a mental level, but it was very different.
Difficult.
And it was very different to the way I usually do it.
Mm.
And then, so I do try to apply at the moment. What do I want to do now? What's the best thing to do now? Because
But
I
even
think
that kid is in the future. Even
why?
that's in the yeah, even that is in the future. So how can I, apply this right now? It's still over there instead of how does my body feel right now? Then it's like smack
Be-
here.
Because I have the sensation that I don't sense anything at the moment. It's just
But
empty as usual.
but again, there you have an expectation about how it is supposed to feel when you're in your body. So you hear us going like, I can feel a contraction in the chest, and you go, I can't feel anything in my chest. There's something wrong with me. I'm absolutely empty. I can't feel anything. So you're again completely gone. Instead of being right now, I am here. I feel nothing. I feel nothing in my body right now. I feel nothing. I can hear my stomach is rumbling. I don't feel my stomach is rumbling. I can you feel your feet on the ground? I can see you're sitting. Can you feel your bum on your seat?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. You feel your body. I can feel my bum in my seat. So you notice what is here right now, not what you want to be here right now, that is not here right now, but might be here in
Mm.
the future. I want you to come back now. What do you actually feel right now? If you stretch your hand and make a fist, do you feel that?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now in my hand, I feel a contraction and a stretch. Now I wiggle my toes. Right now in my body, I feel my toes are wiggling. That is what you feel in your body. And don't have any expectations about anything else. What is arising right now is what is here right now. And there's nothing wrong with how you feel your body.
It just, yeah.
No,
It just
come on.
doesn't make
It
any
doesn't.
sense.
I know. I know. It's
Because because I have the thought of I think I have the expectation
yes.
that how do I feel now, good, bad, or if I ask myself what do you want to do right now, nothing comes in. So I don't. When you say that, it doesn't make any sense to me that that feeling that noticing how I feel right now is going um, to lead
Yeah, it's right.
to
Yeah,
what I'm
translate
seeking.
into how you feel. I get that. But if you have never had a trust relationship with your body, and you have never you years ago you left your body, and whatever your body was feeling, you do not care. You have to pee, I'm not peeing now. You're hungry, I'm not
Yeah,
eating now. I'm on a diet. You feel like going for a walk, I haven't got time, I have to work. At some point
yeah,
your body goes like, "Oh well." And then you don't feel anything.
yeah,
So so so
exactly.
you need to start to build trust with your body. And you do that by going, I want to feel my body. I can't feel my body at all. But when I do this, I can feel my hand. See? I can feel my body. Oh, I
Yeah.
need to pee. Thank you. I'm going to go and pee. And then you go and pee right away. So you need to start somewhere. You need to start to build trust because you have not been a good friend. And when you have not been a good friend, it takes time to rebuild the relationship for your body to actually trust you. And it's not
Mm.
going to trust you with feelings and emotions if it can't even trust you with peeing. You know, you're not going to share deep, deep emotions with a best friend if you know they're going to betray you all the time. You can't even trust them on the most basic level.
Mm, mm,
So you
mm,
need
mm.
to rebuild that relationship. And you do that by actively noticing your body. You can stand in front of the mirror and do movements. I feel my shoulder. I feel my knee. I feel my bum. I feel my back. I feel my neck. So you notice what is happening. And do the mirror exercise that we did in the workshop as well, where you stand and just look at your body without judging it, just looking at your body and going like, who is that person that has a body like that? Well, that must be a very tense person because the shoulders are sitting up here. Okay, can I help that
Mm,
person relaxing in the shoulders? So
mm, mm.
you kind of start to create a relationship with your body.
But it might also help if I have the intention of wanting to feel the body,
Yes,
and then
yes,
doing that exercise.
yes. Because if you have previously felt things in your body that you did not know what to do with, like we talked about on the workshop as well. If you have felt something in your body at some point when you're very, very young, you have to leave the self to maintain the relationship with mom and dad. So you leave
Oh,
the body to maintain the relationship, right?
but I'm absolutely convinced that I left my body like 10 years of age.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I just cut it off.
yeah.
One thing that can also help sensitize into the areas where most of our emotions are is if you take some deep breaths, and as you're breathing in, see how far into the body you can feel the sensation of the breath going in. And so you can feel, in the throat and the chest start to expand and open into the diaphragm, down into the belly. Can you feel the belly expand and move? And then as you exhale, follow it back out. And just notice like
Yeah.
which sensations are apparent as you do that slowly. And what you might find too is that any sensations that are not necessarily related to the breathing or the breathing muscles might start to become
Mm,
apparent. And it's like,
yeah.
oh, there's something there. And you don't have to immediately try to associate it with an emotion or something, but just notice like what other adjacent sensations maybe were you unaware of that now all of a sudden you can feel a little, oh, I feel a little bit something in my belly. Huh, didn't know that was there. Okay, now I feel a little.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing can be really useful since we do mostly experience our emotions sorry, hold on a
No, no,
second.
it's Gittes. It's
Okay, it's
Gittes.
yours. Um, since we do tend to experience a lot of our emotional content somewhere in
Mm,
the
mm, mm,
torso,
mm, mm,
chest,
mm, 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 mm.
throat, face region.
Mm,
So,
yeah. And then know that like I've said a million times, that time and money, it's the diversion of of the aggressive bully. So whenever you get concerned about money or get concerned about time, there's something else going on. There's something right now that you don't want to feel, so you divert your attention into time and money.
But that's what I thought it was about, putting myself aside.
Yeah, it can be. But it sounds like you are. Not feeling your body sounds like you are putting yourself aside.
Yeah.
I was also curious about when you said about the money issues, where is it going? Because you said like you should have money on the bank account, but it's not. So I'm curious of where the money is actually going, and that could also point you to where you are not prioritizing. Where do you know where the money is going?
Well, uh, it's just, mm, well, at the moment, it just seems that I'm paying for a home living child that doesn't want to do anything. That's what comes to my mind. And then I live in Italy. Everything costs like in Denmark, but we have a really ridiculous salary.
Mm.
So yeah, it just it's I feel it's just basic things.
Well, because when you phrased it as, I have trouble with money, it sounds like it's more of an overarching, historic kind of thing as opposed to just my salary isn't making ends meet in terms of this current
That's
economy.
yeah, lately I've been listening to when my mom is speaking, and I can relate to her as how she spends her money, or what feelings she has about money. I haven't quite verbalized it, but it's like my dad was very good at and organized with his money, whereas my mom is like very emotional about her money, and she would just, okay, I'm going to spend my money on that. I don't have the money, but they're going to show up.
Yeah.
But then
So toxic.
there's but then I do think there's some shame around it, about that, about if I remember when I was little that if I got some money, I just had to spend it. It wasn't like, I can see on my daughter, she's more like, I would like to do this thing, and then she goes to work, and then she just build up a huge amount of money. That's not how I work. It's the other way around. I get some money, and then I get the ones to spend it right away.
And that is interesting.
Yeah.
That is really interesting, because that would be amazing to inquire into. What does it mean to have a lot of money? Because you have created a story around that it means something to have a lot of money, and it means something not to have money. And a lot of people, they are, I don't know how to say it in English, but like snobber nedad, snobbing downwards. So it means like you have more value as a hard-working person than as a person where everything just comes easy. And then you can't have surplus on your account, obviously, because that means that you're not, what you're supposed to be. So it's just interesting to inquire into.
Yeah. And the other side of that too is if it feels like, because you are sort of denying and cutting off the body, if it feels like it's a compensation that, well, at least I can buy myself that, or at least I can buy that. And
Yeah,
it's
like the
this
red
is,
wine at night after hard work.
yeah,
Then
exactly. It's like your little way of compensating for putting yourself last in all these other ways, that just comes out by spending money on little things that by the end of the month you realize you have nothing to show for it and you have no idea where the money went. But it's been little, making myself feel a little bit more valued bit by bit.
And I just want to emphasize to everybody, this is a bracket to everybody, because I know a lot here in the States, they are in situations right now with prices are rising, and everything is so super expensive right now. And for a lot of Americans right now, and all over the world, I guess, it's the same thing, that the income is less than the expenditures. So it's not what we're talking about at all now. We're not talking about that there's any value in anybody having money and not having. It's not that at all. It's not that boat we're in at all. We're talking about that emotional context that we put into being wealthy or not being wealthy. And what we hear Gitte is saying, that even with a new job where she has a better pay, there's nothing to show that she has better pay, because there's like a psychological factor to, like what you said, that maybe there's a feeling of I don't get what I want in life, so at least I can buy myself that little trinket and that little thing and that little thing. So it ends up with you being filled up with all those artificial love declarations that makes your life bearable, but it doesn't really solve the issue of having a life.
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot to feel into here. There's a lot to
yeah. I'll just feel my bum for a while then.
Yeah, feel your bum. That works. Feel your bum. Yeah. And and let us know how you get on with it. It's super fascinating. Thank you so much, Gitte.
Thank you.
I love that
Thank
you're checking in every time. It's really nice. Thank you for that.
Bye.
Bye.
I saw there was something going on over there.
A couple of people have left, but I love Liz's comment. Your body is not going to trust you with feelings if it doesn't trust you with peeing.
Absolutely.
So funny. Yes. And then people who had to
Okay,
leave.
okay,
Yeah.
good. Then Slish, yay.
Speaking of which, I feel like my body is telling me
You
that
have
it
to
needs
pee
to pee
too.
also.
You need to trust yourself.
I do.
I speak
How are you?
Liz then.
Hey,
Hi, Liz.
enjoy that pee. Do you have to go?
I
Yeah.
think I will be right back. I'm also going to turn the light on. I will be
Yeah.
back momentarily.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I want your radar eyes on me.
Okay.
Help me feel into. Yeah. Yeah, life feels really good right now. I'm literally in a place where I like. I'm dog sitting for a dog I like in another spot. I'm down the street from my sister. I'm dancing a lot. I'm having fun. So that is all great.
Yeah.
And simultaneously, I'm needing to figure out what's going to happen with the house I co-own with my
Yeah.
former
Yeah.
and all of the personal belongings, what I actually want,
Yeah.
what to do with things.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of different stories. It's fascinating to hear everybody say these things around finances and
Yeah.
yeah.
Do the other lamp instead of that one, please. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and it's a very fortunate situation you're in where you are in other houses than the co-owned house with all the personal belongings and all the memories and all of that. Now you're in somebody else's plants and sofas, and which is really a fortunate place to be. It's a bit like traveling and coming back with fresh eyes. Um, what is it right now that needs your immediate attention to it? What is it right now that can't make it possible for you to have a breather in a nice house close to your sister with a nice dog? Why? Because it sounds like it has been quite a challenge until you got to this point where you're at your life right now. Why can't you just have a breather before you go back into the battle of finding out with the house and personal belongings and all of that? Because it sounds a bit like you need your footing first.
Yeah, there's definitely old storyline. I have been doing this kind of house sitting thing since November, being different places,
Yeah.
but I haven't really landed anywhere for a length of time. So I'm here till the end of the month and have another place to be.
Yeah.
There are thoughts that go through like I'm being irresponsible, old stuff. You're being irresponsible, you're naive, you don't really know how things work. And I feel like I'm sort of flying around operating. I operate differently than the way a lot of things around are operating.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
um,
But that, for example, the sentence "you're irresponsible." You probably know who in your life told you that, and that has that life view that if you're jumping around from house to house, house sitting to house sitting, who in your life would think that that is irresponsible? It's not you because you weren't born with that idea. So somebody gave you that idea. So we say like mom and dad, right? Do you see how the lifestyle you have would not fit with them? They could
Yep.
not jump around from house to house without feeling that irresponsible. But that doesn't mean that you are.
Yep.
Right now, it fits your life.
Yep.
What was you said two other things I already forgot.
Well, naive was one of them. Like you just don't
Naive,
really know how
naive.
it works. Naive. Yeah.
Again, do you see who in your life told you that you need to prepare A, B, C, D, E, F, G? Because you never, ever, ever know what's going to happen. So you need to make sure that you're safe and everything is in all the ducks are in a row. Otherwise, you are absolutely naive and you're just, you're going to be eaten by the biggest wolf in no time. There's somebody in your life, mom or dad, or
Yep.
older sibling, or uncle or auntie or whatever that has that belief that you heard at some point and it's their voice, and you can see how they could not live the life that you live because that would be so threatening to their underlying beliefs. But is that really telling anything about you right now?
Yeah, right now for me, it's not.
No.
And it's interesting because I one of the things I do is I'll see private yoga clients and I'll be in a different location and some people are like, "Oh my God, like are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah. like I'm fine. This is cool. I'm here."
Mm.
But that piece about what is actually right for me,
Mm.
there's another underlying thought which is like this is not sustainable.
Mm.
It's like it's okay now,
Yeah.
but just you wait.
No,
So
but
that's again,
it probably might not be sustainable, but we don't know that about the future. It might turn out that hurricanes are gonna hit your area, and the only one that is actually surviving all that is you because you didn't have a house. You know what I mean? We don't know about the future. We don't know
Mm,
about the future. Right now, for some reason, this really works for you. For some reason, you feel peace and calm in your life for the first time in years. And this works for you. You do your yoga, you do your house sitting, you're close to your sister, and you can breathe. For the first time, you have head above water and you can breathe. You can focus on your diet, on your exercise, on body loving, and focus on finding you, re-establishing you, coming out from a relationship and a long-term relationship. You need to re-establish who you are because any relationship, any encounter we have with people changes us. And you're not the
mhm,
list that went into the relationship. And you're not supposed to be. You're older,
mhm,
you're wiser, you have so many things has happened in your life. But you need to find out who you are
mm,
now as Liz, not as part of a two, but as you. And
mhm.
that takes time.
Yeah, I feel so much tenderness come through when you say that. Like I can feel tears come and sort of
Yeah,
pass.
yeah,
And this mingling with who I am now versus like finally I can breathe. Like all of
yeah,
the stuff I've been, carrying around,
yeah,
um, this release of it and emerging of like, oh, I'm just blooming. I'm just
yeah,
blooming. Can I just
yeah,
bloom for a little bit? And there's also simultaneously a thought about what's my responsibility both to my son and to
yeah,
this piece of property and how to and I want to be able to do both, but I
yeah.
don't want to give up one for the other.
No. And you haven't found your footing yet.
Yeah.
You don't know yet who you are or where you want to be or how that constellation is. Do you want to live in a commune? Do you want to live in an apartment? Do you want a big house? You don't know any of that. Do you want to stay in the state? You don't know yet. What if your son finds out that he want to go to a university two states over? Do you want to live in that state because he's going to stay there for 5 years? You can take 5 years in that state so you're close to him. But you don't know yet. So just allow that flexibility to be part of your life right now and find your footing. And then if you got your back, if you're building a trust relationship with your body right now, with you right now, then you know that whatever happens, you will have your back and you will know very clearly at some point, like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And that is when you then take it. It might be that you go like, you know what? Have the house, all the belongings. I just want my photo albums, or I want the sofa and you can have the rest, or I want all the belongings. I'm gonna, whatever. But right now you don't know. And if you try to find out, it's gonna be a mental exercise instead of a body yes, body no. And I really would like you in a place where it's coming out of absolute authenticity to what you really, really want. Which also means that if your partner goes, I want all the furnitures, you will be, that's completely fine. Have all the furnitures, I'm fine. Because you want to start new or you want to, you know what I mean? So there's not that any battle anymore because you can't build anything on battle. And you are rebuilding yourself, finding out where you are and where your footing is, and battle doesn't have to be, and forcefulness doesn't have to be part of it.
Yeah. Well, I very much, there's something super significant to have you say and reflect. You're saying it to me, I don't know yet. You don't know yet. And to be able to be like, I feel tenderness from like, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And there's so much of my life where I felt like I was supposed to know, that it was my
Yes.
responsibility to know, and I
Yeah.
just don't know. And letting myself not know,
Yeah.
but also feeling this, a little bit of pressure about needing to make a decision. There's some pressure for certain things of like, well, what's going to happen over here? Not necessarily just for me. So, and it's fascinating to feel like, yeah, I'm just sort of, I don't know, in a way that is very open,
Yeah.
and yeah.
And also it also makes it easier for your ex-partner to kind of, that they can make decisions that that is easier for you to say, I don't know what we're supposed to do, but I trust you. You know, I've known you for so many years. I trust you. And if you make a decision on behalf of both of us, I'm fine with that because I'm not in a position to make a decision yet. So you can have
Well,
that freedom as well.
and I was feeling that, and it seemed like, they wanted to buy me out of the property, and then the way to do it was going to be this home equity line of credit, where I would still be like exposed financially if for
Yeah.
some reason payments weren't made. And then I went into this like, you have to protect you. I'm entitled to protect myself. I need to protect myself to
Yeah.
say, that doesn't feel comfortable to me. And then it's sort of going to then, well, I guess we need to sell the house.
Yeah.
And that like a little bit of a dip in this disappointment of like, okay, it's not going to be, yeah,
But
yeah.
feeling that they represented you with, well, a way to do it is this, and you feel in your body, no, I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
Then in that moment you knew. So it's not everything that is not knowing, you know?
Yeah.
It's just some things that are not knowing. Because you clearly felt in you, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go into depth for something. No, I don't want to do that. You very,
Well,
very clearly
I'm
knew
probably going to
that.
go into more, I'll probably go into more debt not doing it that way than I would this way. I just supposedly won't be financially exposed.
Mm.
So this is where it's like, yes, yeah.
But do you remember that we talked about that financial security is part of the care areas?
And I'm like, I page 72. I'm like, yes, absolutely. Yeah. But sometimes figuring out what that means can be a bit challenging.
Yes.
There's because for me, what I really felt like was what I really wanted was to be like, I don't want to pay for a place to live right now. I want to float around. I don't want to pay for a place to live. But then that's going to probably put me at a little bit of risk financially if for some reason I'd say, okay, yeah, go do this home equity line of credit. I'll float around for a while. You get the house. You want the house. I don't even want the house. But then I'm at, sort of at risk potentially.
Yeah. You need to protect yourself. It is part of the care area. It's just like, don't go down that dark alley. Don't go into that white unmarked van. If you have a buddy know about something about finances, it's a buddy know.
Mhm.
And again, like we just talked with Gita about, it's funny that a lot of people can talk about sex very, very openly, but we cannot talk about finances.
Yeah.
It's like such a completely off-topic area. It's completely okay to wanting to feel safe financially. Just like you want to feel safe, physically and emotionally and intellectually and psychologically, you want to feel safe and you want to create that safety around you. It's okay to want to have that financially as well. It's okay to say no to a suggestion that makes you feel financially vulnerable. It's okay to say no. It's just as okay to say no to a physical unsafety situation.
Yeah.
Because in another world where the economic system was different, it might not be a concern, but in the way that our world is structured, finances equate to basic health and survival. It's like
Especially here. It's
especially here.
different in Europe,
Yeah, well, but that's what I
especially
mean.
here.
Like
Yeah.
we can imagine a society that has no concept of money and everything's just egalitarian,
No, or just like a
then it's well,
civilized
yeah,
situation as well, where healthcare is paid for,
I
and if you
know.
get sick, you are taken care of.
I,
You won't, go broke because you broke your leg.
I know, but that's just a fairy tale. None of that
Yeah.
actually happens.
No.
No, but it's the point is that we treat finances here as though it's really a separate thing, but it's not.
Mm.
It is effectively equivalent to food
Yeah.
and shelter and water and clothes and basic security because unfortunately we do need to pay for all of those things with money just because of the way society exists.
Mm.
Finances aren't something that inherently exist or have some, like we say like money is the root of all evil or something, but it's not. That's just a tool that we use to get some of the other things that we actually need for our survival. The problem is that that is just the tool that we use, and but we've kind of vilified it to where it's like
Mm.
that's something that we shouldn't talk about. That's something that's, it's kind of dirty, it's kind of but it's only because of the society that we live in that it's even a consideration. Otherwise, we would be talking about exactly the same kind of care for just making sure you're getting healthy nutrition, making sure that you're exercising, making sure that,
You
your
get
home
sleep
is,
and
yeah, and
you
that your home is, clean and not filled with black mold and, whatever. Like that would be the same, but we have to use money also as part of that consideration only because that's what we need to secure those things.
So it's only to say that you having that period, floating period that you're in right now, it doesn't mean that you also throw, financial security out the window.
Yeah.
It is for you to have a very clear body no, it's absolutely valid. Just like if you said that, a situation made you feel physically unsafe, then we would be sitting and saying exactly the same about your physical security and safety.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose I'm imagining is this way like what there's the old patterning idea of like, well, you need to figure this out, Liz, get your shit together.
Mm.
And then the like waiting till the answer emerges, waiting
Yeah.
for the body to feel settled. I mean, I did, interrupt a pattern last night of like, instead of researching and thinking and doing this, I was like, I took a bath and I got quiet. I went to bed.
But it's also, you don't know what needs to fall into place in you before you can actually see what it is that you need. You don't know that. You don't know what, I mean, I have really been humbled about our situation completely. I did not want to be in a relationship and I was fine. And apparently, and then I ended up here married to Todd, and it's the best life I have ever had. So it's really that being super humble too, that you do not know what it is that needs to fall into place for you to land where there's just flow around you. And you might be like, I mean, I was brain injured for 10 plus years with no memory whatsoever, and I did not know why that had to happen, but it seems to me that,
This would not have happened
this would
had
not
that
have
not
happened
happened.
if I hadn't been sitting, not being completely vegetable. I would have
Yeah.
gone on with my life, and yeah, I don't know what.
I'm sure been wildly successful with what you were doing, but it would not have led you
It
here.
would not have let me here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's that
Fascinating
really
to see.
really being humble to what is happening, and allowing that openness to be there, not knowingness, and just go with that, go with that, go with that, and trust that you will know when it presents itself. There will be, just like you had a body no, there will be a body yes to whatever that is. We just don't know yet. In 10 years, you're gonna look back and go like, ah, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm.
Now I understand why I was just floating and living in other people's houses and taking care of the dogs. Now it makes sense. I understood that. If I hadn't done that, then that wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
This being that becomes.
I can see where this is like this thing of doubt circling back around because that flow and being open, being like not knowing is what literally led me here, where I haven't been happier than
Yeah.
how I am in this
There we
moment.
go. Yeah.
So
Amazing.
Yeah.
just like this,
Wonderful.
like, well, is it, but really, and then doubt comes in, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Flow away. Flow
Oh,
away.
flow away. Okay, flush the toilet, flow away.
We
Okay.
have to come up with better quotes. We have to come up.
Oh, it's such a good
Leave
quote. What
my
have you
cucumber alone and flush the toilet. We have to come up with better. We have to.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank you so
y'all.
much,
Thank you,
Liz.
Liz.
Wonderful seeing you.
So good to see
Yeah.
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep us posted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, last up we got Susan.
Yeah. So we're ending like we started.
I-
Hello.
Hello. You're
Wait, I
bookending
have to do
the day.
something.
Go.
I have to do this one. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. I have this burning question. I'm so aware. This is driving me crazy. I'm gonna do this one. I'm so aware we're over time.
That is so much worse.
So much worse.
Now
What's
we're getting an echo of two of you.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm so aware we're over time, and I'm such an aggressive that I'm very aware of time. But I have this burning question. I want to say I loved Liz's. I've just loved this whole thing. I love the not knowing and the flowing. But this question, I feel like you've answered this a million times, and I just don't get it. But like, and it came up with Caesar's when he said his boss was being rude to him. It's, and then we're like the bubble of reality. It's it's not that the boss isn't being rude. It's that we just need to turn that inward and be like, wait a second, why is this happening? And what do I need to do inward? Like, what is this reflecting inside of me? Is that
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. Two things.
okay.
It's two things because the first situation is that the boss going, Caesar, you could have done that much better. I expected much better of you. The first point is to realize that is not reflecting anything about Caesar. That is reflecting the boss's expectations, his bubble of reality. Sounds like he needs to take something up with his therapist, right? So Caesar cannot get offended or sad or hurt or anything about that because it's not about Caesar. So if Caesar feels something about that, that he can feel into and go like, oh yeah, my dad used to talk to me like that. And my dad used, so Caesar can use that as a growing moment. It's still got nothing to do with him, but he can use that to grow with and realize and become free and maybe get a better relationship with his dad. That's the one thing. The other thing is that the boss is a toxic narcissist and he keeps making traps for Caesar. So that Caesar, he keeps jumping loops to try to please that toxic narcissist. Caesar is not supposed to sit and reflect on that and make it go home, and he can, but he should find another job.
Yeah.
So it's not a green pass for anybody just to put up with toxic, abusive people in your lives. And very often it's what we're saying is used for that.
Yeah.
And it's not
No.
the purpose of what we're saying.
No, but it can make you more aware of when it truly is a toxic situation because now you start to see, okay, well, I have added so much to this because of my past history of believing that I'm just inherently not good enough at something. So, of course, I'm interpreting everything I hear through this lens. But then once you become aware of that, if it's still like, oh, yeah, no, there's definitely something wrong here. They're definitely setting traps. They're definitely just being unnecessarily aggressive or abusive, then find a new job. But it's good to have that clarity that like, okay, a certain amount of that was coming from me. Now I see that there's still something else amiss in this relationship.
Well, I had this last month, my computer trauma. It took
Yeah.
1 month to fix my computer. And I had wanted to go out and buy one, and this colleague was like, no, I'm going to take care of it. And he didn't, and he didn't, and he didn't. And then I
Yeah.
blew up.
Yeah.
And it's really inappropriate. And I know it was really inappropriate.
but also there's a point where you're like, wait, you're screwing me over and screwing me over and screwing me over. And so like and then it was hugely, like you guys said, and I told him that. I told him, I said, my Buddhist teacher said it was just perfect and it was wonderful. And it really was. But I did feel bad that I blew up. But part of me was like, hey,
Yeah.
you can't flake on me, 4 times over when I'm really depending on you because you didn't let me depend on myself, which I should have just followed my own instinct. But
And that was
it
why
was
you
like,
blew up, sweetheart. That was why you blew
yeah,
up. Because
yeah,
you told yourself, I knew I should just have gone and do it. And I kept not doing what I knew I should have done. You blew
yeah.
up to you about you.
Okay.
It wasn't about the
Yeah,
other person. You were angry at you for not listening to you from the
yeah,
get-go. But the whole situation, that didn't have to be a blow up if you had been open to you from the beginning,
yeah,
going like, okay, aggressive
yeah,
good idea, just gonna get myself another computer. Then you might talk
yeah,
yourself out of it and going like, no, 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 it's the company that needs to do it. So now I'm relying on them.
yeah,
There was the issue because you didn't want to rely on them. You wanted to go out and buy the computer from the get-go.
yeah. But also like, so then my friend came to visit and she used to be my assistant before she retired and we're very close. And I said, oh my God, I blew up. And in our company, that's not appropriate. It's really not the culture. And I rarely blow up. I have, and she said, everybody has their limit. And I was like, so where is that balance? It's like, yeah, I mean, flaking on me 4 times is too much for me. And you're right. I was more mad at myself.
Yes.
But it's also like, where is that balance
No,
of,
Well, the question I have too, though, is did the
yeah.
blowing up actually fix the problem? Was it that he wouldn't have done
No,
it
and then I
until you blew up
realized,
on him?
why am I asking this person to help me? How many times
exactly.
am I asking? And so then I just started
Yeah,
taking it over myself, and then I fixed it. And I just kind of, I would copy
exactly.
him on email so he knew what was happening. But I was like, no, no, I'm not
Exactly.
working. And I told the executive VP, I said, I'm not working with this person anymore, which I'm known for. If I can't, if somebody's, I work with really well with almost everyone, but there are a couple people I won't work with because
Yes.
Yeah.
of like this. And so I finally just took it over myself. My computer's working great finally, but it
Yeah.
was a long haul.
But
So
But
yeah,
that's the thing is
interesting.
that the blowing up wasn't actually necessary at any point of that stage, of the process,
help. It
right?
didn't help
It
anything, and
wasn't
I
like,
feel really guilty.
of
Yeah.
course. But that's the thing is,
Yeah.
so take that on that it's not the guilt part of it, but the
Yeah.
but take on that that when you said that everybody has their limit, it's not
Hmm.
like that blow up was like you waited to blow up, you waited to blow up, you waited to blow up. Okay, finally I blew up and I got it done. Like that's kind of what's implied by everybody has their limit, right? Like it makes it sound as though the blowing up actually did something that it didn't do. It might have
It
made you feel
didn't.
better
Yeah.
for a moment, but it's not that, you put up with it for so long. Really, it's just at the moment, like Pernilla said, either you buy the computer to begin with because that's your gut feeling,
Uh-huh.
or you give the person one chance or two chances and set your limit there as far as not that now
Yeah.
I'm going to blow up, but just now I'm going to take it into my own hands and I'm going to do it the way I
Yeah.
think it should be done, and then you're fine. It's like I know we had talked about that frustration of having to give over the control and putting it in somebody else's hands, and they're not doing what you think they should be doing, and it's not going the right way, which just amps up that feeling of helplessness. And I know I should just be doing this myself, but I'm not, and they're not doing it right, and I hate incompetence, and it just becomes that
Uh,
whole spiral of one thing on top of another until it's just too much to hold on to.
But it's also
yeah.
because there's been so much of your survival has been suppressed
Yeah,
because your survival is, can say do.
yeah,
So the computer breaks. Okay, I'm gonna get another computer.
yeah,
But then you go through the right channels and okay, I'll
Yeah.
wait. So Baron, he's gonna fix my computer. Baron, he doesn't fix the computer. I wait for Baron to fix it. He doesn't.
Mm.
Okay, Baron, listen up. I'm gonna get myself a computer. I'm gonna send you all the emails. I'm gonna take over now because this doesn't work. That doesn't need to be
Yeah.
a blowing up in that.
hmm
It's just an
Yeah.
acknowledgement of if things are supposed to get done, Susan gets it
Yeah.
done.
hmm
Baron
Yeah.
doesn't. So,
Yeah.
Baron, my friend, I'm gonna help you out now. I'm gonna do your job. I'm now gonna
Yeah.
do it because I know I'm
yeah,
I'm gonna get it done.
yeah,
Yeah, and I realized too that, right, I didn't I kept thinking he was going to get it done. And it took me way too long to like, I realized if you flake the first time and then flake the second time, and then I was waiting, and then somehow I think I have to catch myself sooner to be like,
Yes.
okay, wait, everybody gets 2 flakes or 1 flake or something.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
yeah, but I did think about that after the retreat, that I really was,
You
I
crossed
didn't
your own
take care of
boundary.
myself.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
over and
You crossed your
over.
exactly, and no wonder you break up. You blow up at you for breaking your boundary. You
Yeah,
know, you have a
yeah,
very clear boundary, and okay, I can wait 3 days, and if it's not
yeah.
sorted by 3 days, I'm not waiting anymore. That was the boundary,
Yeah,
and it's
but and I
okay to have
think,
that boundary.
what's that? I'm sorry.
It's okay to have that
Yeah,
boundary to say that,
and
okay, I'll give you 2 chances. You didn't deliver.
yeah,
I'm gonna take over now. That's
and
okay.
I think it was part of my pattern as a child. I didn't have as many options, and now I have to remember that I have options. Like I don't, once I start going down a path, I don't have to keep going down that path. I
Exactly.
didn't, I thought like, okay, he said, don't buy a computer. I'm going to take care of this. And then I kept, like, I didn't stop ever and be like, until I blew up. And then I was like, this is crazy. So, yeah, I think that I have to remember, yeah, I have options. And even if I agree to something, I can shift and be like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And then also remember, there's nothing wrong with you. There's
Mm.
nothing wrong with you getting things done. There's nothing
yeah.
wrong with having that personality. There's no shame in that at all. And if you can do things quicker than he can do it, it's completely fine.
Well, that's what I realize is I'm in this retreat, right? I want to put all my energy here, except when my
Yeah.
one friend's visiting that evening. Like
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have all the energy for the retreat, and then I'm spending hours. I spent 9 hours during the retreat
Yeah.
working on the computer. I could have done the whole thing in an hour or two,
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
probably two realistically, because the people,
Yeah.
or maybe three, but it was like, it was just so crazy, but I couldn't get myself, I couldn't disconnect. I don't know if I wasn't thinking clearly, but I just think it's my old pattern. I think it was
Yeah.
a childhood pattern that you only have so many options, so you
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
looking for options.
Another thing that you can work with when all this is over and you're completely have landed in all of that is also working with that expectation that you actually had the arrogancy to think that you could have a retreat without 9 hours of talking with a computer guy. That was part of your retreat. And it I don't mean like, in that magical way, but
Yeah.
that had always been part of your retreat. There has never been a retreat happening where you didn't speak 9 hours with a computer guy, inept computer guy.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? So it's that keep pushing the reboot button and seeing what is here, what is here, what is here.
yeah.
There's a retreat going with a computer guy.
Mhm.
Huh, I thought I was going to have a retreat without a computer guy. Apparently not.
Yeah.
Apparently I'm retreating with this inept computer guy. Okay. Okay, here we go. I did not know that. So
And
it's
it
just,
really, yeah, sorry.
yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
it's just maybe not for now, but maybe for further down, in a few
Yeah,
weeks, you can return to it and look at it with that fourth, fifth feather,
yeah,
where you
yeah,
had an expectation about something that did not pan out the way that you had expected it. That does not
yeah.
mean that there was anything wrong with what happened.
Mm.
It was your expectations that needed to be adjusted.
And the truth is, like, I remember Todd going, "Oh my God, this is so perfect." And I was like, "Oh my God." And then later I was like, I don't think I could have nearly gone so deep with my pattern if that hadn't happened, because I was
Yeah,
triggered so deeply.
yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
made me so crazy. And
yeah,
I think if it would have been this peaceful retreat without 9 hours of computer guy,
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't have gotten nearly as much out of it. So it really
yeah,
was
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
But
yeah,
man, it was painful. Yeah,
yeah,
but it was perfect.
yeah.
I hate to
I
admit
mean,
that Todd was
Ted,
right.
pardon?
I
Mm.
said, I hate to admit that Todd was right. It was perfect.
He always is. He always is. Always is. Yeah. But it's just, those insights present themselves in the most unlikely ways. For Ted, it was vomiting and diarrhea. For you was an inept computer guy.
Yeah, yeah, it really was. It was so profound. And so thank you. And thank you again for that retreat. It was,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
I feel like I almost want to see it reborn. I mean, it was just, and I feel like it's still integrating. I mean, it'll
Yeah,
take
yeah.
me months, but it was just glorious. So thank you. And this today was just wonderful.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Susan.
Thank you so
So we'll
much.
see you on the 19th. Yeah.
Yeah, see you
look
on
forward to seeing
Saturday.
you then.
Yeah, see you on Saturday.
4 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's in a moment.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan.
And no spotlight. It's over there.
Boop.
Good. Hello,
Thank
you
you.
guys. So these are all the fierce one. Even Ethan, you're still here.
Yeah,
It
really
must almost be morning now.
major respect to you for being here and sticking it out and still being awake.
Still being awake.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
We appreciate your dedication.
So much, so much. So happy you're here. Okay, you guys. Thank you so much. See you on
Absolute
Saturday
pleasure.
for the meeting if you guys are coming for that. Oh, you're so welcome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I can't remember when our next
No,
our next
we'll be in
thing.
touch.
We're gonna it's in
May.
Discord.
Yeah, it's
In
May,
Discord
but
you
if
have all the dates and all of that, so you know when it
Yeah.
is.
We'll have so we have this one in May, and also we have that POK talk May 25th.
Oh,
It'll be our
yeah.
first POK talk. So
Yeah.
if anybody has not signed up for POK,
Now is the time to do it.
yeah. So there is we will
we're gonna have a talk at POK every other month.
Yep.
So if you guys, and it's only in POK, so the videos are not available anywhere else but
Yeah.
in POK. It's a very close community, so I can recommend you guys to sign up for POK.
Yeah.
So you can listen to the talks there.
Yeah, and so to do that, you'll have to email Patty Levin, which we have her email address in the official announcements page. If you scroll up, because before I gave the POK talk there, I had the link to
So you just
reach out to her.
you just email to Patty and say that you would like access to our talks that we do at POK, and then she will send you link.
Yep.
Is that one an early morning one, y'all? That like
I don't know,
Yes,
actually.
yes,
Like
but I don't
11 your
remember
time, is
exactly
that
what.
right?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
Okay,
I
cool.
don't
Thanks.
know.
Early.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember
I'm
the
just
exact
rocking
time.
up. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact time that we agreed upon, but I think it is like 11 or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, you
so
guys.
much, everyone.
Thank you.
Lovely seeing you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Oh, that's Tom.